Trump announcing an historic peace deal. It has been reached in the Middle East, and it promises to end the 2-year war between Israel and Hamas and bring every remaining hostage, dead or alive, back home.
So much is happening to get the hostages freed, and we think they'll all be coming back on Monday. So it looks like that's the thing, and that'll include the bodies of the dead. And, you know, the parents that I talked to so many of them, but the parents are almost more intent, but equally intent is getting in just about all cases, their son's body back than they are as though the young man was alive. It's just the same intensity. They want their baby's body back. That's what one woman said. I want my baby's body back. And, you know, the son is 25, 26 years old. So that's a very big part of it.
So we got to witness the deal get pushed over the finish line in real time as the Secretary of State Marco Rubio interrupted a White House meeting to slide the president this urgent note.
They're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. Departments to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. Thank you. I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly.
Most transparent presidency you're ever going to see.
Wow.
Emotional scenes breaking out in Israel, understandably, last night as friends and family of the hostages heard the news. They're coming together to celebrate as we now wait to see if Hamas ends its reign of terror and holds up their end of the bargain. And that's going to be key, guys. They got to get the 52 in place, the 20 plus that we hope are alive, and then bring them from different desperate parts of Gaza, bring them together and get them out. Now, in turn, there's going to be a lot of prisoners that are going to be getting out. And I guess they got to settle on the numbers now and who's on the roster of prisoners to be released. 200 plus are on life sentences.
Pam, go ahead, please.
Well, they're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments.
Sir, the only McDonald's ice cream machine has been repaired and is fully functional, and it is located in Gaza.
Okay. The Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly, so I will take a couple of more questions.
That's a good one. All right. Can we please get McDonald's in, please? All right. Low key, I've eaten McDonald's. You've heard the story a million times. I've eaten McDonald's with Trump on his plane. I don't know how else to describe it to you. Other than you get on Trump's plane and you expect like caviar and champagne, and it's, you know, one of the nicest privately owned jets in the world. You see the Rolls-Royce engines. We all get on. You sit down and you go, and you just take in that smell. And you know what the smell is? The smell is of a McDonald's kitchen. That's what it smells like on Trump's plane. Do you love it? I love it. I loved it. You'd think you'd be smelling beluga, caviar, and cristal, but no, you smell French fries and chicken nuggies. That's what you smell. And sweet and sour sauce. And hamburger. That's the smell of Trump's plane. And can you just grab the photo of me and Trump on the plane? I didn't take a photo to McDonald's because Trump wanted to have a private conversation with us. And it was just me and like two other people. And so he'd want to like sit down and like chat with us. And but like you get on the plane and you look at the back of the plane and you see that there has been a McDonald's delivery of every item on the menu. Every single item on the entire menu has been purchased and is stacked up like 10 each. You remember that photo of Trump during the last government shutdown where he fed all the footballers McDonald's and fast food at the White House? It was like that. It was like that. There it is. There's the thank you, Klein. There it is. Any item you want is stacked up in this kitchen that could probably do like 5-star dining. Instead, it's stacked full of McDonald's. There you go. So I was like, that was it. That's my Trump McDonald's story. Yeah, Trump obviously famously bought a bunch of McDonald's for people in East Palestine, and then he went and worked at McDonald's in Pennsylvania. So famously. But that meme is hilarious, Jerry. Well done. Okay. Meme review over. Okay. Trump during court as well. Is he eating McDonald's there? I'm gonna reload here. Wait, I'm gonna log in today. We got a crazy show today. Lots of stuff. Oh, okay. There you go. There's a photo of Trump's. What do you got to do to be the Secret Service guy? Like, what do you got to do to be the Secret Service guy that carries in Trump's McDonald's? These are the Secret Service agents that are carrying Trump's McDonald's into court. This is when Trump was being put on trial for the rest of his life, and the Secret Service detail, one agent in the detail is told to go to McDonald's and buy every item and bring all of the McDonald's into court. Bring all of it. What does Mr. Trump want to eat from McDonald's? All of it. That's what I saw. Because when we sat down, last thing I'll say, when we sat down, Trump was so proud of this. He goes, what do you want? I got a whole working McDonald's back there. Got the whole thing. What do you want? You want the sauces? You want to? I said, I'll have some chicken nuggets. All fries. My order was fries and chicken nuggets. And he's like, done. What kind of sauce you want? He's so proud of himself. It was amazing. And the lady comes and brings McDonald's on these gold platters. She's like, serving you McDonald's a gold platter. It's a out of body experience. It's wild, man. Wild. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting times. Today is Thursday, October 9th, 2025. Trump announces Gaza peace deal as Israel and Hamas sign off on first phase of landmark plan. We're going to break down the plan here, and we're going to also break down why I think this is important. Obviously, the president of peace, but more importantly, finish be done. Let's be done with this. Right? These wars are like these viruses that were left over from a globalist regime that just wanted to do forever war, and they wanted America involved in more forever wars. So let's be done with it. We'll talk about that in just a second. White House cabinet meeting will be live soon. The entire cabinet there at the White House, and President Trump taking off on a jet tomorrow to the Mideast for the peace deal, allegedly. Donald Trump's going to get his physical tomorrow, and then he's going to get on a plane and he's going to fly to the West Bank? Gaza? I don't know. He's going to fly to Israel? Is he going to fly to Saudi Arabia? I'm not sure. ALX will tell me, I guess, if we know a location. But Trump is going to go there in person and sign the peace deal, which is going to be epic. Maybe Egypt, says ALX. Okay. I guess we'll see. We're going to be flying tomorrow. We'll be going to New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to tell you why that is so important today. There was a massive debate last night between the gubernatorial candidates. We will win New Jersey. In 4 weeks, we will win New Jersey. We're going to flip that blue state red. The blue wall of the Northeast will crumble. We are going on offense. It's an amazing time. John James will be joining the program, along with Dinesh D'Souza. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Okay, when we travel, we will travel with our Patriot mobile device. When you travel, whether you like to sit at home on your front porch, which I love doing. I got a porch. I got a porch. It's not like we don't have a particularly nice house. It's just in a neighborhood. Looks like any normal American neighborhood. I sit out on my porch, and I love it. It's my favorite thing. My kids run around. I did it this morning, and I have my coffee, and I just sit on my porch. That's my pride and joy. Okay? So whether you're doing that, and I wish I could do more of it, or whether you are crisscrossing the country, Patriot Mobile can lock you in to an excellent plan that will travel with you. I'm the only Christian conservative wireless provider because this is a company that boldly stands for American rights, especially freedom of speech. But also it's a company that provides the cutting edge when it comes to technology that we use all the time. Unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet backup, and so much more. Let's make the switch today. Come on. I made the switch and never look back. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny for a free month of service. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Okay. This is going to be very interesting. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about President Trump and his peace deal. Obviously, D'Souza has a new documentary about why Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Also, the Prime Minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, just nominated Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's pop that up. Very interesting. Bibi Netanyahu posts this AI. Wow, that's interesting. Bibi Netanyahu posts this AI right here. President Trump getting a monster Flava Flav style Nobel Peace Prize medallion, saying that it is time for there to be a Nobel Peace Prize delivered straight to Donald Trump. Nobel Peace Prize is awarded in October. So I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Peace through strength. Let's go to the actual source here. Prime Minister of Israel tweeting, give at real Donald Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves it. And there you go. Why do I agree with this? I agree with this completely. And we're going to talk about New Jersey in just a second because I really want to get to that. And then we'll talk about this, the peace deal and the phasing of the peace deal and the interesting viral moment yesterday that happened at the Antifa roundtable from the administration. I agree with this because if you know American history, you know that the wisest people that ever led this country, George Washington, for instance, upon his last final public speech, George Washington said, don't get embroiled. Please, you will destroy this country if you get embroiled in foreign wars. I beg of you, do not have foreign entanglements with our country. Now, of course, that was thrown out. That entire doctrine was thrown away after World War II when we decided that we were going to go around and play God and world policeman. And it has been terrible. I mean, it's been awful. That's brought us the Korean War that we should have never fought, the Vietnam War that we should have never fought. There's 100,000 Americans that died in those conflicts. Like, for what exactly? Like, for what exactly? That brought you, like, Desert Storm. Oh, that was a huge success. Please. A huge success in, like, adding $4 trillion to the national debt when we should have had a surplus. And George H.W. Bush losing the White House. Iraq, Afghanistan, all of it, nightmares. And then, of course, they said, you know, they wind down Afghanistan and kick off Ukraine. I'm telling you that we're very clear-eyed on this stuff, which is the number one way to collapse an empire is to ensure that you are out, like, constantly like fighting someone else's battle. It's your sandbox. Go do whatever you want in it, okay? I'm not going to sit here and moralize or lecture anyone for one side or the other. My side is the American side. I don't give a damn. I don't. I'm like, you call me whatever you want. Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, Israel. I don't. I want the communists to lose. I don't want the globalists to win. I want America to be strong. I want us to take care of ourselves. There are streets in Ukraine that have much better roads than we do. There's infrastructure in China that looks like it's like 100 years advanced from where we are in this country, where everything seems to be collapsing all of a sudden. When was the last time America built anything you were particularly proud of? Like, when was the last time we did any great project as a nation? You know, I'm sick of it. And that's because all of our treasure is spent somewhere else. And so I'm telling you, like, on principle, I just don't care. The reason I want these things to be shut down, the reason I'm in favor of this AI, put it up one more time, Trump peace, is not because I'm cheering for one side or the other. I'm cheering for the American side, and if you really do think America first, then you will say, well, that means that America shouldn't be dragged into these conflicts. When you have your allies fighting in conflicts around the world that could immediately pop off and cause World War III, that is exactly what could happen when Israel's bombing Iran and Iran's bombing Israel. It's exactly what could happen, obviously, in Ukraine and Russia. Then the chances of us, our nation, declaring, like, being dragged into war once again to add another, to destroy more American lives, to maim more American men and women, to spend another $1 trillion, $5 trillion, $10 trillion, $20 trillion, $100 trillion. like cripple the future of my children. I'm sick of it. I've had a belly full of it. Everyone has, and we're done with these forever wars. So please, by all means, make peace. Make all the peace. Like, by the biggest mistakes that America's ever made in the history of my country, which is my inheritance and yours, is to get involved in foreign wars, period. It's really hard to like rationalize why, under any circumstance, America should be involved in a foreign war. You have a really tough time convincing me of that, especially as we watch the interior of our nation crumble. And you can see how other countries are living off of the fact that we are the ones who they can always count on to step in and protect them. Socialized healthcare, perfect roads, free medicine. Like, that's what everyone else lives with. Because we constantly cannot keep ourselves out of war. And then who profits off those wars? Of course, some of the most evil people on earth. The Rothschilds, the biggest names in the defense industry and contracting. And what does Washington do? Drive through the actual neighborhoods around McLean, Virginia. Drive through some of these places, man. Where's the highest median home income in America? Is it near an oil well? Is it near a coal mountain? A mountain full of coal? Is it in Silicon Valley even? Perhaps it's on Wall Street. No, of course not. It's right around the Pentagon. Right there in Northern Virginia, in the leafy, beautiful, gated suburbs where every single house like has its own zip code, such giant palatial mansions. And what exactly does that part of the country make? Well, sure as hell doesn't make anything useful. It doesn't make chips, computers, AI. It does not make any type of infrastructure. It's not like some type of energy deposit there, or diamond deposit, or gold deposit. All they make is war. That's it. And they just profit off that war. I guess the gold deposit is the money printer that sits there and prints the money for the wars. And that is why there's so much wealth around that area, is because that is the thing that Washington, D.C. can declare and do. You saw it with Ukraine, obviously. Same thing with Gaza. And I'm sick of it. It is the wholesale looting of our nation. It happens before our very eyes. And what does all that money do? You can see it. We literally just hand all of the equipment that we send over to Afghanistan right back to the Taliban. In one of the bloodiest cheek insults that anyone has ever witnessed in our lifetime. So rant over. I'm sick of it. I'm assume that you believe the same thing. But it's time for people to just straight up say it. I mean, beside, of course, the moral question, right, of whether we should be bombing, weddings in third world countries. Barack Obama should be drone striking American citizen teenagers, right? They gave him the Nobel Peace Prize, didn't they? That shows you everything, doesn't it? All right, so rant over. That's the moral worldview of this show, and that's why we're in favor of this. Okay, we're also in favor of obviously saving our nation, and that's where our energies are going to go to. That the wholesale energy of this show will be focused on the American people, not the people of Israel. Not the people of Gaza, not the people of Donetsk and Kyiv. Don't care. They're not my people. This is my people. You're my people. America's my people. Like, we are more than just tax cattle for an economic zone set up by people who hate us. We're more than that. We're a nation with a legacy, built for a purpose, a singular purpose, to forward the cause of liberty and freedom through the prism of Christendom, which is the bedrock of Western civilization. That is what my nation is. and I have no allegiance to any other nation. I don't have a dual passport. I don't like people who have dual passports. I don't want, I don't understand. Like, no, you shouldn't be allowed to like go be a judge here if you were born in another country. No, you can't be president. You shouldn't be allowed to be a judge. There's a good argument to be made that you shouldn't be allowed to serve in Congress if that's the case. I mean, legitimately, I'm totally okay with beginning that debate. Like, this is a country for Americans. That's it. So, don't care what you call me. What's wild is that the vast majority of the country, the vast majority of that country believes that. That's why we voted Trump. That's what we want. And to the extent that President Trump is pushing for peace and the winding down and the pressure release valve of like these major global conflicts, including the conflicts that didn't start, right? Like the India-Pakistan war, they were trying to kick that off, right? Who knows what Soros entity or what World Economic Forum entity funded the terrorists to go into India and slaughter a bunch of people. It was a really bad terrorist attack. Terrible. And without our president, would that have kicked off a major war? And then would America have had to like fund both sides, right? And everyone gets rich all over again. The worst people, the most evil goblins on earth get rich. No, enough. I said rant over like 3 times. I mean it now. But it's just the best part about having an actual worldview that is America first is these kind of things become crystal clear. These kind of things become extremely clear for me as to what is the highest cause. And the highest cause is the American people, period. And you will never find me like hanging some other foreign country's flag from my house, wearing their stupid pin, begging for their dollars, going on their junkets, kneeling before them. It is an immoral abomination, in my opinion. And quite frankly, like, the only way that America gets preserved is if Americans stand up for America. And that's what we're going to do on this program. It is the inheritance of my children. It is what I will give to my kids because we have no other land. This will be where I die. And I will give this country that we fought for in our own way to my kids, and I'll be damned. I'm going to give them a functional country and a country better than I found it. Because I found a country that was completely on the verge of collapse due to a weak, feckless, and greedy, evil political class made up of the likes of Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, who wholesale sold out our nation to foreign powers for their own enrichment. They're traitors, and they should be seen as such. We'll do everything we can to make sure that that's how they are remembered in the history books. They're traitors to America. A pox on all their houses. Ladies and gentlemen, the way that we take it back, the way that we fix this nation is, of course, well, by continuing the March for Freedom. And we're going to do that in New Jersey. Just a couple of really quick top line New Jersey data points. It's absolutely fascinating. So this is what we're going to do tomorrow. I want to show you guys the poster. Jamie, please add Jack Posobiec to this poster. Add Chris Maloney. Add I want more good fellas on here because there's going to be a ton of great people. And if there's other names that I'm forgetting, forgive me. But do that. I want to be able to post that and promote that after the show. So this is the good fellas. Fantastic. The polls are neck and neck. We'll be in Wildwood, New Jersey. This will not be our only New Jersey stop. People are like, oh, you're going to a red area. Okay, that's how you get out the vote. We're going to pump the numbers up in places like Wildwood, but then we're going to go to blue areas. We're going to go to purple areas. We're going to hit the ground in New Jersey. I'm going to be up there. It is winnable. Look at these poll numbers. Wild. Neck and neck. 43-43. Mail-in ballots. Republicans are crushing. New Jersey has mail-in balloting. Republicans are just crushing right now. Wild. The returns are just exceptional. Here we go. New Jersey Republicans expanded their mail-in ballot return rate to an all-time high this election cycle in the governor's race. Mail-in ballot is up nearly 5 points more red than in 2024, when Donald Trump lost New Jersey by a whisker. Donald Trump lost New Jersey by just a fraction of a few points. Mail-in ballot return rates are super strong, stronger than Democrats. Look at that. Ballot return rates. Beautiful. Yet again, Republicans have expanded their return rate lead, padded their own raw vote margin. The return rate is an indicator that Republicans are fired up in the race for competitive New Jersey, for Jack Ciattarelli. We need to keep pushing. Beautiful. The polls are so strong, ladies and gentlemen. The registrations are so strong. Here we go. There's stories like this every single day. We just turned in 130 more Republican registrations today. Tomorrow brings a new day. We are determined to break a record. New Jersey voter registrations, man, I'm telling you, you could flip New Jersey red. You could flip New Jersey red. And so that's what we're going to go do. It's amazing. We went to Portland, and the woke Portland police chief was like moaning and bitching and crying to the local media that there were influencers that were coming in and changing everything. Portland was a city that they like wanted to just be run by Antifa. And as long as nobody's paying attention, as long as there's no national spotlight on the city of Portland, then nothing will ever change. And the police chief said the thing that has changed everything has been like influencers that have large audience coming here and telling the real story. Now, he was, of course, angry about that, but I view that as just a beautiful thing. So we intend on taking, as we have said many times, the power of this audience and pushing America first everywhere, including blue states. Amazing how many patriots we met in Portland. It's amazing how many, literally walking down the street. There was like homeless junkie, guy who just pissed himself, lady with pink hair screaming into a brick wall. And then there's like a Republican. I don't know how they do it. And then there's like a Republican who runs up, like takes a selfie and is like, we love Trump. We found that like everywhere. It's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, Jack Ciattarelli, I'm telling you guys, if you're in New Jersey, get ready. We are going to win. If we show up, it's all about turnout. If Republicans show up, we will win. Ciattarelli had a debate last night. Massive debate moment here. Beautiful. He is up against a former member of Congress who's a total fraud, who's an embarrassment to the Institute itself, who perhaps is a criminal based on reporting that she was trading defense stocks while voting to go to war. What did we just talk about? It's the exact same thing. This is how it works. Ciattarelli just calling her out. Look, here we go.
Since the time that the Congresswoman is declared for governor, she's missed 90% of the votes in Washington. But a few Fridays ago, she skipped out of two very important joint appearances in New Jersey to get to Washington, D.C. to vote yes on the Charlie Kirk resolution celebrating his life. I applaud her yes on that vote. When she came back to New Jersey and caught hell from the left, she issued a statement condemning Charlie Kirk, calling him a misogynist and a racist. The two things are inconsistent to me. The way to tamp down the hateful rhetoric is by having the right kind of leadership in place. I've always conducted myself in a respectful way, even when I disagree with people. I'm never going to tarnish the name my parents gave me, and I'm never going to embarrass my 4 children. I've always been respectful with my rhetoric, and I think that that's more important than ever.
This is just going to be a romp. I'm not trying to put the cart in front of the horse. But watching the debate last night, seeing clips like this one, where he calls out Mickey Sherrill. Isn't that a perfect Karen name? Mickey Sherrill. That is not a New Jersey name, okay? Jack Ciattarelli is a New Jersey name. But Mickey got just absolutely mic dropped last night. Here we go.
She had to pay federal fines for breaking federal law on stock trades and stock reporting, and the New York Times reports was trading defense stocks while sitting on the House Armed Services Committee.
I think you get 15 seconds now. This is the same old misinformation that he continues to promote because he knows that I don't trade in individual stocks.
When you're having to explain you're losing, When you're explaining, you're losing. It's great. It's great. She's keeping the government closed. Here we go.
And so right now, with the president, with the Senate, and the House all in GOP hands, the fact is they've got to work to reopen government so workers can get back to work and we can continue to drive down healthcare costs. Mr. Citarelli.
Work to reopen government? When there were shutdowns during the Biden era, she voted every time for the continuing resolution to keep government, get it open again. This time around, with Trump in the White House, she's voted no on the resolutions to keep government open.
So, boys, I'm just sending one more banger that I loved from the debate. They're in a really bad spot. They're in a bad spot. Everybody should have to be answering for Jay Jones also. Do you think that Republicans, deserve to be killed? Do you think Republican children deserve to be killed? Jack doing a great job, man. Flipping the narrative. Here we go. Cheating scandal. Mickey Sherrill was not allowed to walk at her military graduation because of her involvement in a cheating scandal. Very dishonorable. Called out live.
Last debate, Mikey said that she was the most transparent gubernatorial candidate of all time. If she's so transparent, then approve the release of her disciplinary records at the Naval Academy so we can know why it is that she was punished. There was a cheating scandal in the early 1990s while she was there. We know for a fact that she wasn't allowed to participate in the graduation ceremony. We know for a fact that her name was not listed in the commencement exercise program. She says it's because she didn't turn in classmates. That's the honor code at West Point. That's not the honor code at the Naval Academy. You don't get punished for that. I think she was punished for something else. And so I think she needs to come clean. I think the people in New Jersey deserve an answer as to why she was punished at the Naval Academy.
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The final word on this, and the reason why, obviously, we're taking a day and going up and traveling up to Wildwood, which is pretty far away from where I live, is because we want to put W's on the board. This is a W. This is a win. This is why we were in Portland. We have an American country here, and everybody who lives here we are all Americans together. We live in a red country. It's why the map will hang there. It'll probably be a permanent part of the studio, is that map. Trump won 90% of the countries. You live in a center-right country. Does the entertainment industry reflect that? Does the media industry reflect that? Does your body politic reflect that with majorities of one vote? No, they've all been rigged. They've been rigged against you by a very small, very sick cabal of people that are not giving New Jersey what they want. That are not giving the states and the people of this nation what they want. Even California. We are ready to fix that state too. Too much to talk about, but we're very excited to bring that energy, and it's time to prove who the majority actually is. We are the majority, in fact. The contrast, ladies and gentlemen, between the two candidates could not be more clear. This is the game winner right here. The game winner. What happens if you become governor? Jack's first action will be to lower taxes. Obviously. An obvious winner forever. Who thinks taxes should be higher? Who thinks taxes should be lower? And Mickey's first action will be to sue Trump. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for you. Here we go.
What is the thing that you think you'd like to have to be the top brass in this state? What do you want to do the first day you're in office that no one's thinking about? Start with you.
I want to join the court case against the tariffs that the president's implementing right now. That's one of the number one things I hear about as I speak to thousands of New Jerseyans, is how these tariff costs are raising everything from a cup of coffee to the groceries they buy to make dinner at night.
Sir?
Lower your energy costs on day one with Executive Order number 3. We're pulling out of RGGI. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy that has failed New Jersey.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes. Oh, hell yeah. The team is blowing me up for ranting. Yes, I know. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Lower costs. Beautiful. That's where we'll be tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. We'll still have our morning show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have Scott Pressler on to talk about how we're going to win, how we're going to make sure that Pennsylvania gets Floridaed. So Pennsylvania becomes a permanent red state where Democrats are just constantly on the run and just desperately playing defense. And then we're going to flip New Jersey. We're all going to do it together. We're all going to do it together. Let's this is going to be tomorrow. Maybe 5,000 people. I don't know how many people are going to be there. Hundreds, thousands. It's going to be amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, you just rap and horn me? Fine. I approve. I approve of the rap horn. I want actually more sound effects, and I just appreciate it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time. This is the time to make sure that you are locked in. Make sure that you are saving your family money. It is the holiday season. Make sure that you are ensuring that you have your fiscal house in order. I'm saying there's going to be huge opportunities in the market, and it's going to be important to make sure that, especially if you are enrolled in Medicare during the annual enrollment season here, if you're 64 and older, that you make sure that you have the right plan, that you are locked in. Chapter can help you. Chapter helps hundreds of thousands of Americans nationwide to make sure you're not getting ripped off. There's plenty of fraudsters out there. Don't check some of the more recent DOJ filings in Minneapolis. I'll give you a hint that there is an entire scammer community that has been indicted, like en masse, in Minneapolis for Medicaid fraud. Anyway, among other things like COVID fraud and so on and so forth. Okay, just don't be part of that. All right, Chapter can take care of you. On average, they're saving people over $1,000 a year. This is something that will be painless. They can make it very, very easy. And in under 20 minutes, you can be locked in to make sure that you have the best plan heading into 2026. Ready for the golden boom. If not, they'll help you switch. Dial pound 250 and say the word savings and take control of your healthcare. That's pound 250 and say the word savings. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump announcing Gaza peace deal. It's a pretty interesting moment here. Marco Rubio coming up to President Trump during the Antifa sidebar yesterday. This is a roundtable where a number of our dear friends were at the White House. They were explaining how Antifa has attacked them in the streets. You know, how is this even like a thing? I just don't, like, so many of the people that we knew and have known for years were there at this. I mean, goodness gracious, ALX. Pretty much everyone's been on the show, right? Savannah Hernandez, Katie Davis Court, Nick Sotor. We were just with them yesterday. And it was like, there are probably dozens of people that didn't get a chance to go to the White House that have been attacked by Antifa. Like, how is that the norm? You know, how is it the norm that like independent journalists, I don't even know how they all vote. I don't know who they all voted for, but independent journalists, you just expect, the expectation is that they get attacked, maimed, put in the hospital, killed if possible. That's like the expectation. That's the assumption that that's going to happen. So, well done to the president and his team for locking in yesterday. I don't know if we have. Do we have some of the hotter lines, some of the spicier lines from the president and his administration on Antifa? I know that I do want to cover just a couple of short moments. ALX, if you got them. I know the Pam Bondi moment went big, but President Trump had Marco Rubio hop up and give him a note yesterday, saying, yo, we have a peace deal locked in. Secretary of State Marco Rubio whispers in the ear of Donald Trump, hand him a note about the Middle East, saying, very close, we need you to approve a Truth Social post so we can announce the deal. You can see the note right there. Remember the cards that they would hand Joe Biden? And the cards that had with Joe Biden is like a photo of Hunter Biden saying, this is your son. He needs crack. Please buy a hooker for him. Like, it was like with Joe Biden, it was like a photo of his dog, and it was like, here is your dog. Don't kick it. Don't shock it like Hassan Piker. Please don't shock the dog. Don't torture the dog like Hassan. These are like the notes that were given to Joe Biden The notes that are given to Trump, and they're like humiliating. You get a snapshot of the note. You go here. Alex, can you grab me one of those Joe Biden notes? They're so funny. Like, walk to stage. Don't crap pants, right? With President Trump, it's like, we just achieved peace in the Middle East. Great. So here's the Truth Social that they wanted approved. Very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on a first phase of the peace plan. That means that all the hostages will be released. Israel will withdraw troops to an agreed upon line, the first steps towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel and surrounding nations, United States of America, and we thank all the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented peace possible. Blessed are the peacemakers. Donald Trump, beautiful. Beautiful. So this is what Marco was saying. So get a load of this, man. Trump tomorrow gets a physical. And then Trump is considering going to the Middle East. ALX is telling me in our chat that Trump may go to Gaza. Whoa, what's that? Now, given the travel times, even if you have Trump's plane and everything, this will probably be happening on Saturday, I would assume. I don't think it'll be happening tomorrow. I don't know. What do I know, right? But just given how far it is, that it is truly an 8-hour trip, you'd have to assume that what President Trump will be doing will presumably be will be happening throughout the weekend. Yeah. Okay. Before we move on, please put this one up. Please put this Biden cue card up. Oh man. Yeah. So that's exactly right. Yeah, this is exactly right. Did the White House post about this, Jamie? This is so funny. Yes, this is great. This is a Joe Biden note card. You take your seat. They have to tell him that he has to sit in a chair. These are the style of Joe Biden note cards. The White House posting this. This is a great post. Jamie just sent it. Great. Thank you, Klein. Sir, there is something on your chin. Can we zoom in? Sir, there is something on your chin. Trump's notes. We just have peace. We have peace in the Middle East. You just achieved peace in the Middle East. Let's get it going. That's great. Goodness gracious. All right, ALX. How should we go about these? How should we go about these clips of President Trump? Let's do Trump peace in the Middle East. Beautiful. President Trump commenting on what he's about to do. Again, prepare. Trump going to the Middle East tomorrow. Rock and roll.
It's a great honor to be involved in it. We had some tremendous help, as you know, with everybody from Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco, and we had everybody. JD, the whole group was just amazing, and the military was, as you know, very instrumental in getting this done. We have a great military with great leadership. The whole world came together, to be honest. So many countries that you wouldn't have even thought of it. They came together. The world has come together around this deal. And that's something I would say that without that wouldn't happen. So many countries that you wouldn't have thought of have wired their best wishes and their commitment to do whatever is necessary. The countries surrounding have all signed. I mean, they're all signed up, and it's been really an amazing period of time, and so great for Israel. So great for Muslims, for the Arab countries, and so great for this country, for the United States of America, and that we could be involved in, making a deal like this happen, because it was, many years they talked about peace in the Middle East. This is more than Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East, and it's an incredible thing.
Can we do a poll? Should I start saying Muslims like Trump? Am I allowed to say Muslim? Like Trump goes, been great. It's been great for Muslims. Is that, it's the president, right? Is that the correct pronunciation? Am I saying it wrong? We had a couple of those. ALX saying that there's a media supercut of like everyone in the corporate press, everyone in the media praising Trump for this. Like people are getting down on their knees and saying we were wrong and praising Donald Trump for delivering this. I said, should we salt the libs? And he's like, they're not salty. This is the first media supercut ever in the history of the show where they're just like, they're all to a man just praising Donald Trump, including MSNBC, including some of like the biggest like egghead historians that hate Donald Trump are coming out, trotted out on MSNBC this morning saying, this man's a hero. Here we go.
Make no mistake, it looks like President Trump has actually pulled off something here that many presidents before him have failed to do.
Just need to underscore what an enormous moment this is for so many people in this region, for the people of Gaza who have endured 2 years of war, for the families of these 48 remaining hostages who have endured 2 years of absolute agony. This is a watershed moment.
We've heard it again and again from a number of people today, really giving credit to President Trump for getting this deal over the finish line. What are you hearing from your sources with regard to President Trump's role in getting both parties to sign off on at least the first phase of this peace plan?
Well, certainly this is an enormous moment for the world, but also for this administration, a big win for the president who has been very personally involved in this, Lindsay.
Is a major accomplishment for President Trump, something that he's been really trying to work toward. There's been a lot of critics and questioning of whether or not he could pull off sort of negotiating and working to try to get all these sides together. Of course, there were a lot of nations involved. So this is, of course, not just a victory for President Trump, but really a number of Arab nations, Hamas, and of course, Israel. But this is really huge news. And the president, of course, announcing it online.
So what do you make of what the president has said in a social media post, that they've signed off on the first phase of the peace plan? What does that mean to you?
Anderson, momentous day. There's not much good news in the world. This is great news. I am trying to hold it together, honestly. I've worked on this issue a very long time.
Israel, make no mistake, this is a huge night, potentially the end of the nightmare. For the people of Gaza, this is going to be an enormous relief. For the people of Israel, potentially the end of a 2-year-long nightmare.
And for these families still waiting for the remaining hostages who are still alive to come home, this has been an agonizing wait. And of course, the families who will get the remains of loved ones who died while in captivity.
I've never seen anything like it. Well done. Well done. I don't want to see hostages. I don't want to see kids killed. I don't want to see like this kind of stuff. I don't want it. It's immoral, in my opinion. And it's ugly. And it's certainly ugly up close, man. It really, truly is. You don't need AI to prove that. Obviously, if you have AI, however, integrated into your life, like integrated into, for instance, your internet service provider or your scroll. I mean, AI is integrated in everything, whether you like it or not. It's like impossible to escape. Is it good? Is it good? These are like going to be important questions, obviously, for people to answer, moving forward in the country. But does AI like assist in our creative capacities and how we're building and integrating into making sure that we can serve and deliver content? Yeah, it does. Part of that is Comet. Comet is an AI browser. It's just makes it super easy to use the internet. It's powered by Perplexity. Perplexity is just one of these incredible AI companies. It's a high integration with Rumble. We love Rumble. We don't have like a professional relationship with them or anything. We just love the platform. It's free speech and everything. The people that run it like are really committed, really devoted to these principles. And there's a way to obviously build an ecosystem where AI make it, where you can protect freedom. And you can do so by sort of tearing down the vanguards of left-wing big tech, if it's done correctly. Anyway, I think Rumble's trying to do that. Comet's trying to do that. Brought to you by Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet. Makes things easy. Built-in personal assistant. I mean, it can click, type, search for you. Do the things that you need to be done in the background. Download it today. Go to pplx.ai/penny. Get your browser working for you. Plus, right now, you can download Comet. You can get a free month of Rumble Premium. I told you they're in with the good guys. That's pplx.ai/Benny. You can go right now and take back your time online. Okay. Okay. So we're talking about the peace deal in the Middle East. Guys, we want to make sure that these kind of things don't spiral out of control. We want to make sure that obviously we're not getting embroiled in more forever wars. I'm somebody who watched from the sideline, but my next guest is someone who actually marched into the fray, served his nation honorably for over a decade in the United States Army, was deployed to Iraq, and was a helicopter pilot, and was somebody who has logged 753 combat flight hours on Apache helicopters. Whoa. This is a man who I think understands peace and the power of it and war better than most. Representative John James joins us live right now. Congressman, welcome back to the program. I guess the floor is yours to talk about this Middle East peace deal. The people who want peace in the Middle East are the ones who went and fought wars in the Middle East the most, I've found. American war veterans are the ones who are not wanting to return to that region, right, to go war fight. And so Donald Trump delivering peace, this has got to make a guy like you sing.
100%. Thanks for having me back on, Benny. Nobody hates war more than a soldier. I fought combat in Baghdad, and I fought people who were trained by these Iranian militias who were funded by our adversaries. And I've looked that evil into the eye, and we fought it. And President Trump is standing, the first president in my lifetime who's done such a great job of actually delivering peace in the Middle East. We used to say that as a slogan back in the early 90s. Remember that? Peace in the Middle East? Well, President Trump has done it. He's bringing peace to the Middle East, not just with putting the embassy back in Jerusalem, not just with the Abraham Accords, but by bringing the hostages back and holding Iran accountable. Oh, by the way, anybody heard from Iran recently? No, because you F around, you find out with this administration. In the previous administration, it was open season on Americans. We absolutely have to end these forever wars. And I'm so glad that President Trump is more focused on keeping Americans out of harm's way by making sure we maintain peace through strength.
Yes. So this morning, and I think we could, why don't we pop it up? The Prime Minister of Israel is like, give this man the damn Nobel Peace Prize. Now, I remember Barack Obama getting the Nobel Peace Prize before he was even president, which is insane. But your take on this, Congressman?
I don't know why people continue to doubt the best deal maker in our lifetimes. I don't know why people continue to doubt that President Trump truly wants to put Americans first, put America first. He said what he was going to do. He did it. And I think he should absolutely be rewarded for it. President Trump absolutely deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, not just for this, but for the things that he's already doing across the world in many other endeavors. And let's not forget that peace abroad also means peace at home. Making sure that our people take America seriously, both our adversaries and our allies, is absolutely incredible. President Trump has gotten our allies to spend up to what they should be of their GDP. A lot of folks are spending close to the floor, but they need to get that back up. But getting our NATO allies to pay their fair share of their own defense so that we're not leaning on the talent and treasure of the American citizen is something else that President Trump doesn't get enough credit for. So making sure that our allies can stand on their own and keeping our soldiers out of harm's way and then fighting wars as a last resort is what our president is doing. So yes, he absolutely deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, and I'm going to support it however I can.
Congressman, nearly a decade in the United States Army, flying very dangerous missions, nearly 1,000 hours of combat missions. You just don't find that anymore. I mean, this is really a truly remarkable military career that you've had. Now, obviously, you're serving in the House of Representatives for the great state of Michigan. You've got to have some real pride in watching what's happening with the administration and the way that they're changing culture in the Pentagon. I just wanted to pivot maybe to Pete Hegseth's speeches to the generals last week. I assume you have quite a take on that. Were you cheering from the rafters? Your thoughts on this?
I still have a number of classmates, a number of friends who are still in, and they've been complaining about the command climate for quite some time. Being in that middle level, that major, that lieutenant colonel, that colonel, that's under the suffocating blanket of the myriad generals that we have, who are focused more on DEI than defeating our nation's enemies. Secretary of War Hegseth is focused on the right things. He's focusing on lethality. He's focusing on supporting peace through strength. He's focusing on making sure that we have the strongest, most well-supported fighting force in the world's history. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And he's listening from the bottom up. He recognizes that no one has monopoly on the right answer. He's listening to privates, he's listening to generals, and everyone in between. I absolutely believe that there needs to be one standard, a high standard, and it needs to be focused on what it takes to win our nation's wars. I support the Secretary of War in his efforts, and this is a shakeup that has been due at the Pentagon for quite some time.
Oh, I got a photo for you. Just pop that up as fast as we can, Klein. Look at the Secretary of War yesterday. I don't think that this is, maybe this is actually, do you know this helicopter? Do you know this platform? Was this your platform? Help me out.
No,
this wasn't your platform.
That's a little bird. I flew Apaches. But it's good to have a Secretary of Defense who can do a pull-up, right? It's good to have a Secretary of Defense who can lead from the front.
Zoom in there, Klein.
Forgive me, Secretary of War. Excuse me. It's still very new to all of us. But that's a badass. And
that's rowdy, man. Look at that.
That's a badass right
there. I don't know if I'm odd. It's inspiring. It just is. It's inspiring. Now, I got two boys. And I'm watching this culture change. I'm like, man, I push my boys to go enlist.
This is what's important about this. You talk about getting your boys to enlist, and we failed to hit our recruiting numbers for years and years and years under the previous administration. That is what young men need to see. Yeah. That is what young men need to see, to know that they can do hard things, that they have leaders who will have their back, who will be in the fray with them and won't turn their backs on them when it gets hard. That so many young men have never been looked at and said, you are built for excellence and I believe in you. That's the type of leader that our young men deserve as our young men are in crisis all over this country. Secretary Hegseth is leading by example with an administration that's focused on the right things. And this is long overdue. I'm so glad to see it.
Yeah. And also somebody not only can do a pull-up, but somebody who can say no. And we're not going to embroil you. We're not going to send you off to some sandbox and then surrender it back to the same people we were fighting for the last 20 years. I mean, it's like we're not going to desecrate or humiliate your efforts. We're going to treat your life as the treasure it is. I think it's a really powerful message. I mean, people are signing up to fight.
We pledge allegiance to the red, white, and blue, not a rainbow. And really focusing on the things that are important, the things that unite us, about the flag that we carry on our shoulder in the battles, about the red, white, and blue. It's not about the black, brown, and yellow. It's about the colors that bind us all together, and that's red, white, and blue. And this is what the military is all about. It's about green. It's about doing the right thing and win our nation's wars. And I'm just so excited when I see things like that.
And Congressman, if we could sort of move domestically here back to America as we talk about the fabric of this nation, the red, white, and blue, and something really stunning that went on in Virginia this week when a attorney general candidate openly talking about how he wants to murder Republicans and their children. And these are real text messages. They really happened. He really did say this. His name's Jay Jones. But Democrats have not repudiated him at all. Nobody in Congress has called for him to drop out. Nobody on the Democrat side. Barack Obama hasn't sent a tweet. No one's pushing for this. It's got no coverage. You can't share a nation with people that want you dead. I don't know how many times you got to watch a Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump get shot in the head by a leftist for us to recognize what time it is. So what time is it, Congressman?
Well, it's time for the American people to realize which party is for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and which party is the party of the unhumans that are built to burn it all down. The neo-Marxists, the communist Antifa wing of the Democrat Party is loud and proud, and it has the entire Democrat Party held hostage. And you see it Because when they say the silent part out loud and then everybody else's response on the left is exactly silence, they've told us everything that we need to know about the fanaticism that has taken hold in that party. I bear no ill will to any American. I put my life on the line to defend our Constitution and every American life, whether or not you agree with my politics or I agree with yours. But there's absolutely no place in public discourse for calling for the death of your political opponent or their children. And continuing to fight for the right to free speech does not protect terror activity. Like was shared on that text message. He should be ashamed, and he should bow out of the race if Democrats have any leg to stand on when they say turn down the temperature when tragedies happen.
Yes, that's right. What a crazy thing to see millions of Virginians presumably vote for a man who wants to kill Republicans. That's you've lost your soul if you're a party like that.
And he wants to be a law enforcement officer,
right,
talking about killing half of his state, right? Like, so that defies logic and morality. And frankly, I think the people of the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, will make the right decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, very good. We're going to be heading to New Jersey tomorrow. Obviously, you're from Michigan. These are states that people said Donald Trump could never win. People said that Republicans like yourself could never win, that Michigan is just a blue state and will be a blue state forever. But now we're watching, and it's an amazing moment in the country, we're watching people actually realize the neo-Marxist left, and they don't like it, and that experiments failed. And what they tried to push on this nation over the last couple of years, it failed. It's in total and wholesale collapse. How do Republicans in like a state like yours, right, that's kind of 50-50, how do Republicans continue to win? How do we take a state like Michigan and say, hey, this isn't going to be a blue state. This is going to be a red state?
Well, I mean, President Trump won here 3 times. I mean, even judges have said that Jocelyn Benson had her thumb on the scale in past elections. And she's currently under investigation by DOJ. But of course, she's running for governor. I don't know how you can trust someone to run a state when they can't even run a website. But I digress. The fact of the matter is Michigan is a red state. Michigan has 7 of its 13 congressional members are GOP. We have our state house and our state legislature, and we're near 50% in our state Senate. We're going to be fighting to take that back. Again, President Trump won here 3 times, and we're going to have the opportunity to win here, to put conservative values to the test. Every place where conservative values have been put to the test, they work. People are leaving blue states and going to red states because they have lower taxes, because they respect your rights, and because they're not going to try to transition your child without you knowing about it. These are just the basics. Respecting family values. And we're going to be focusing on things like academic excellence, economic mobility, public safety, government accountability, and wellness. We're going to be doing things and focusing on policies that work, because people in purple states, blue states, red states are sick of the leftists telling us that we're wrong for being who we are. Michigan is a state that was hit particularly hard because of the COVID shutdowns, because our current governor, who's focused more on running for president than doing her job, was shut down in seniors and nursing homes, and masked our children, and forced vaccinations, and closed down churches. People are sick of that. So we're going to continue to stand up. Our eyes are open, and we're going to take our state back just like we took our country back. Having a combat veteran who's led in the toughest situations is going to be very important to make sure that we lead through the next few years. Having somebody who's grown a business is going to be very important if you seek to be the CEO of a state. And also having somebody who takes no excuses and care about the people is going to be something that is what we're going to need. Conservative values work everywhere they've been tried, but leftist Marxist policies are failing Americans every single day in blue states and blue cities all over the country.
So many incredible patriots in Michigan. I think Michigan was the first place that a Charlie Kirk billboard actually went up after Charlie was assassinated. There are people that love their nation there. And I have very warm memories of a big campaign rally with President Trump in Detroit, which nobody thought was possible. And it was packed to the rafters, tens of thousands of people right there in downtown Detroit. There's no such thing as a permanent blue state. There's no such thing as a permanent red state. It's constant vigilance. And it's time to keep fighting. So thank you very much, John James. It's always great to have you on the program. Everybody follow John James. Such a great story and such clarity. And we need to save the heartland. I get sick watching these J.B. Pritzker press conferences and stuff. It's like, man, like I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Iowa, man. Like, they need proper representation. Some of the best people in the country live in the Midwest. And they're not woke. You know what I mean? They're just not woke. So everybody follow John James. Godspeed.
Thanks a lot, Benny. Take care.
All right. I'll stop ranting today. I was like, stop ranting. I was just we were in Chicago like less than a week ago. And I can't. The Midwest is, do you know the Midwest, man? You know these people? It's like the shirt off your back, like some of the finest, most honorable, like good-hearted, like true, like America still, like the America of your great-grandparents still exists in the Midwest. It's still there. You can go to the little communities and you can find it in the little coffee shops and diners. Like they weren't destroyed. Places in the inner cities, like some of these places have just been wiped out. Like all of the Americana has just been stripped down. But in the Midwest, it just deserves to be preserved. It really does. And it's just on my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, also on my heart is making sure that I preserve my time with my children every single day. I want to make sure that I can get home and get the precious, sometimes sadly it's like an hour, sometimes it's more, but I want to make sure that I can like lock in with my kids. I want to make sure that we are as efficient and effective online as possible. Allio Capital helps me do that. Allio! We should make that sound effect. Allio Capital is the AI investor that keeps my money working for me behind the scenes. Who has the time, man, to sit there and tick away? Tick, 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 tick. And track and follow every stock or every trend, or every global event, and then tie that to money markets and make these bets. I mean, nobody has the time for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Allio Capital is powered by AI. Altitude AI does this fast investment analysis, faster than any human. It's designed for hands-off or hands-on investors. Clients trust Allio. I'm one of them. I personally invested on their platform. The average deposits are in the thousands, and, well, I got to tell you, they've done great for me. Make sure that you go and download the Allio Capital app today. It's got 4.8 out of 5 stars in the App Store or on Google Play. Text my name, Benny, to 511-511. That's ALLIO Capital. Text Benny to 511-511 today. Investing does involve risk and includes potential loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee results. So please see terms and conditions at alliocapital.com. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very exciting times. We do have some of the clips yesterday that I wanted to get to about Antifa, because we have stared down these people before in the BLM riots and so forth. And then we also have the live cabinet meeting that'll be happening at the White House. And so, I mean, listen, man, during the 2020 riots, that stuff affected me. I don't consider myself like there are a bunch of reporters that like literally wander into Antifa and like start scream at them and like put a phone in their face. I do my best, I during 2020, I was that guy. And I saw how dangerous these people were. I saw how unhinged and demonic they were up close. I saw that I would be orphaning my newborn baby. And I do my best not to put my life in danger unnecessarily. But there's a lot of reporters out there that like walk into the fray and face down Antifa to a man and a woman. And they're very incredibly brave. And they have the scars to prove it. Some of them have hospital stays to prove it. Holy smokes, man. I saw the nightmare up close in 2020 through Washington, D.C., where we were doing a ton of reporting on the ground. These people, they just have nothing to lose. And you don't want to be in a fight with someone with nothing to lose. It's the worst fight, because I have something to lose, and conservatives do have things to lose. We have families and churches and things that bind us together. These people are radicalized. They're free radicals. Where does that come from? Free radical, like an electron that has no home, that has no grounding. That's nothing but like kinetic, psychotic energy. And man, you can call it whatever you want. I think it's spiritual in nature. You look into their eyes and you're like, man, these people, they would love to take one, they would gladly do anything to take you out. So yeah, it's a terrorist element. Yes, they are domestic terrorists. Yes, they behave like a terror cell. And yes, they're organized. And the president and his administration planning on crushing them yesterday. They brought some of these big-time reporters into the White House. Are the clips in the script? Where are they? Let's go to Pam Bondi first. That's the one that's off the top of the dome. But I'd like to cover 2 or 3 commentaries, maybe from Cash and Trump. But here we go. Strong statements here on destroying terrorism. Go.
Stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence.
Good. How did it become normalized that, like, if you were a Republican and you're just recording in the street, that you're open season, we'll just kill you? How did that become normalized? You wonder how we get to the Charlie Kirk moment, and that is exactly how. President Trump sitting there, he took a bullet to the head by a left-wing extremist, Kash Patel, as saying that the FBI will go after Antifa with a vengeance. Let's go.
President, the American people gave you a sweeping mandate in your victory in this election cycle, and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your leadership, has provided us with the resources that we need, which is a whole-of-government approach to go after criminals absolutely everywhere, not just outside of this country, but within this country. And that takes a whole-of-government approach. The interagency seated up here with the Department of Homeland Security, our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, and your White House staffers, including Stephen Miller's leadership, has allowed us to go out there and map out these networks. What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming everyday citizens in every single one of our communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live time because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're putting their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag. The least we can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities, which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this diseased temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is. It will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you.
Yo, where have I heard diseased temple before? That's great. Same thing, Jerry. I just said, like, yes, we say this all the time. It's amazing. Although Cash is a friend of the show and a personal friend, actually. And I will tell you, I want a Cash Patel challenge coin. I don't know how to explain this more than his challenge coin went viral this past week. Maybe we can grab it and pop it up. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I saw Cash in Arizona and I said, I'm just very disappointed that I didn't get one of these epic challenge coins. Everybody's roasting Cash for this. I don't understand why. I think these challenge coins are incredible. Don't you want one of these? Should I get a couple of them and then we can just send them to brigade members? Should we just do that? Look, these are the greatest challenge coin ever made. It's so Cash. Guys, it's so Cash. We need them. I need them. I'm going to get a stack of them. We're going to DC next week. I'll get a stack. You want one, Jerry? Yeah, Jerry, you don't get one now because of that last comment. Okay, we'll get them. We'll get a stack of them. These are awesome challenge coins. I didn't want to go into this because they're trying to roast Cash for this, saying that they're ugly or whatever, or silly, or they're undignified. Whatever, guys. Okay, listen, James Comey's in shackles. Also, why didn't we get to see James Comey yesterday? I wanted to see it. And they should have had James Comey. They should have had one of these challenge coins. They should have taped one, slapped one with super glue right to his forehead and made James Comey do the press conference. Maybe that's what they did, and that's why we didn't get a press conference yesterday. I wanted one. I wanted the press conference. We didn't get a press conference yesterday. All right. Yes, Klein, I will get you one. I promise you one. We will get I will get a stack. Try and get a stack. Yes, we'll get a stack of the challenge coins. Okay. Producers telling me we got to keep moving. Okay, President Trump on Antifa. This is very important to me. It's like a passion project. I've seen too many of my friends get beat in the street. I've watched too many funerals. I've seen too much. This needs to be taken very seriously. Donald Trump saying we are going to dismantle the evil left-wing ideology that has taken our friends from us. Here we go.
Our schedule. It should be clear to all Americans that we have a very serious left-wing terror threat in our country. Radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law. In Chicago, anarchists have surveilled at least 4 local ICE facilities and posted diagrams of the buildings online, meaning nothing but bad, accompanied by photos of specific ICE agents that they're targeting, one in particular who's a top person and a great patriot.
I watched what Trump was talking about. I watched it. So they're locked in. It's amazing. It's not the summer of love anymore. It's not the summer of 2020 anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It is an administration that is going to take on this threat, and they mean it. I'm sick of watching DC burn. I'm sick of it. Ladies and gentlemen, joining our program in just 1 minute is going to be Dinesh D'Souza. He has a documentary out about peace in the Middle East. Once again, predicting the future is Dinesh with a new documentary. And so we look forward to talking with Dinesh about this. I don't know how Dinesh keeps getting these documentaries right. I have no idea. If he uses ExpressVPN, I wouldn't be able to find out because I wouldn't be able to track his internet browsing or his research. Very interesting, guys. Everything that you're doing online is being tracked. And thieves, who are part of the #1 spike in crime across the globe, is cybercrime. Those cyber criminals can steal your likeness. They can steal your accounts. They can take the data and scrape it from your computer. They can imitate you online. It's very dangerous. You need to have a VPN that is protecting you, especially if you're traveling, even if it's like the family trip, especially if you're at some of these big hotels, or if you're on these public spaces. This is just prime targeting. ExpressVPN is what I use. ExpressVPN is on my phone, 1 click. On my laptop, 1 click. Bing! And then it is an ISP. There's no markings. There's no indication like who. There's no capacity to track anything that I'm doing. You can be completely and totally safe and secure. It's like having a gate around your home. It's like having a security system around where you live. Incredibly important to do it, and you should do it today. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/Benny. ExpressVPN, EXPRESSVPN.com/Betty to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months. expressvpn.com/Benny. Make sure that you are protecting yourself online. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a man who has gotten it right in his documentaries. Trump Card was one of my favorites. Obviously, you know, the tracking the muling of illegal votes for President Trump. Doesn't get enough credit. Doesn't get enough credit for 3,000 mules, Dinesh D'Souza. A brand new film out called The Dragon's Prophecy about President Trump, peace in the Middle East, Israel and Gaza. Fascinating stuff. Dinesh D'Souza joins us live now. My producer's telling me 2,000 mules, not 3,000 mules. But Dinesh, I bet there were 3,000 mules. I don't know. I might,
well, 2,000 was kind of the minimum count, and it goes up from there.
Yes.
You know, that's an interesting. I wonder if that will ever be fully investigated. I'm sure that there are people telling Trump, you know, that's in the rearview mirror. You know, you got a lot on your plate. Move forward. Don't look backward. But in some ways, it is important to do a kind of inventory of what really happened.
Yes.
I think Trump would like to do it. And whether his entourage is holding him back, I'm not really sure.
I actually went to the premiere of 2,000 Mules at Mar-a-Lago with you. And I sat right behind you and Trump as we watched this. And Trump was fascinated by it. He sat there and ate popcorn. He ate popcorn and took in every second of it. And yeah, I mean, John James was just on from the state of Michigan. Do we have any answers, Dinesh, about those giant boxes in Detroit being brought in? Like huge crates of votes being brought in at 3 a.m.? Have we ever had an answer for that?
Right when that film came out, I called a conservative Republican senator, good friend of ours, and I said, hey, come over to our house. Let's watch the film. You make up your own mind. And he just wouldn't text me back. Very odd. And then I finally figured it out. It wasn't that he was afraid the film would be false. He was afraid it would be true, because he was afraid that if it was true, he'd have to do something about it. But if you remember, Benny, basically the 2020 election and January 6th were like the two untouchable issues, at least for a while. And all the mainstream Republicans they'd privately, Dinesh, oh my gosh, he really blew the lid on this stuff. But they were reluctant to take the actions necessary to probe it further, which is what's needed. Yes. So in any event, the thing you mentioned about Trump was hilarious, because when he was watching the film, he was not only taking in the content, he was doing running commentary on the sort of the making of the film. Like, Dinesh, like, where do you get the music? Like, do you buy that? Do you guys do it yourself? He's like, Dinesh, you know, you got a really good movie voice, man. He goes, it's a good thing too, because otherwise you might have to hire some other guy to do the, you know. And I'm like, this is very amusing to me to listen to the former president, now of course president again, doing this kind of analysis of the film on multiple levels. But I think it's because he's a cultural guy, you know, and he was at The Apprentice, so he takes an interest at that level.
So it would be, you know, you did so much work on this. It would be nice to see somebody say, no, we're going to make this a huge issue. And I know we're going to talk about the Middle East and the Dragon's Prophecy and the brand new film, but since we are going to New Jersey tomorrow, you've been proven right, Dinesh. I don't think you get enough credit for this. You've been proven right, and every single scandal, at least 98% of the scandals, have to do with mail-in ballots when you look at what's being charged through the DOJ. We head to New Jersey tomorrow, and there's a story that I just can't get out of my head from Paterson, New Jersey, where this guy, no, that's the wrong one, guys. Get the one out of Paterson, New Jersey. The mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, was caught with his entire campaign team plucking ballots out of mailboxes, ripping them open, changing the votes for him, remailing them. They charged him dead to rights. It's all in the DOJ filing. This happened very quietly, you know, in 2023 and 2024. And they're like, yeah, he probably stole like thousands of votes directly out of people's mailboxes and changed them. There you go. Thank you, guys. We'll put the story up, but the floor is yours, Dinesh, since you're one of the world's experts on this. You've been proven right.
You see these videos. There was a case in Connecticut as well, where if you look at it and you see the videos, you're like, where have I seen this before? Answer 2,000 Mules, the movie. And not only that, but if you just do a tracking of the votes going back to Obama, you'll notice that there's a kind of relatively level kind of structure of votes that the Democrats get. There's some variation. Obama gets more in 2008 proportionally than in 2012, but it's all within a range. And then millions of votes show up for Joe Biden in the 2020 election and vanish in 2024. So they show up in this one election. And that is, on the face of it, prima facie, extremely suspect. So yes, I'm quite convinced that there's a lot there. If Kash Patel and his investigative sleuths want to go digging, I urge Kash to get on the case. I'm sure he's got his hands full with a lot of other stuff, but I would love to see. And when I made the film, I issued a kind of challenge, which is, look, go talk to the mules. Like, maybe these guys will have some amazing, never before thought of explanation for why in the middle of the night they're going from like one Dropbox to another with backpacks full of, maybe there is a plausible explanation, but to this day, I have not heard it.
Yeah, it really would be very, like, where were you getting paid? Who's paying you to do this? Like, where'd you get all these ballots? Again, let's talk about the Dragon Prophecy, but I wanted to make the point that Dinesh was the guy who called this out from the start, and it'd be nice to actually see. Do you think that mail-in ballots should be, in conclusion to this subject matter, do you think that mail-in ballots should be banned? Do you think there shouldn't be that opportunity? It seems rife for fraud.
Yeah, remember what we used to have? They used to be called absentee ballots. If you're a military guy, if you're an American posted abroad, you can mail in your ballot. But this was not normalized. This was considered like a special case. But now mail-in ballots are just kind of a way of voting. I think that should be banned. We should go back to the idea of limited exception absentee ballots. And I think this will do a lot to straighten out our ballot fraud process.
Okay. One of my all-time favorite clips was CNN secretly capturing voter fraud, like accidentally capturing voter fraud while doing a man on the street interview. It was hilarious. They I don't know. Have you ever seen this, Dinesh? This is CNN. CNN's like, this is the 2020 election. The guy's in a mask and he's like, let's just go talk to some people and watch what happens.
Only ballot drop box in Cuyahoga County, Ohio. You can see this woman right here casting her vote. Did you vote for Reagan or Jimmy Carter? Carter, okay. We don't want to get too personal with people here, but you can see there's actually a traffic jam.
She has like a stack of ballots. She has like 50 ballots. It's like illegal to vote for anyone else in Ohio. You can only handle your ballot. They have pretty strict laws in Ohio. And she has like 50 ballots. And she's like, I voted for Jimmy Carter. And she has this minivan full of ballots. CNN's like, oh, shit. Oh, back up, quick. We're capturing the fraud live. It's amazing. Anyway, good. We'll keep pushing on that. It's obviously a passion project of the show. Here we go. The Dragon's Prophecy. Here is the film's website, dragonsprophecyfilm.com. Did you just predict the Middle East peace deal, Dinesh?
I wish. The funny thing, Benny, is sometimes you make a film and you have the good luck, or you could call it providence. It's even more timely when it comes out than when you made it. And that's what happens to be the case here. This is a film that is about October 7th. It's about Israel, Hamas, radical Islam, but it's also about biblical archaeology and biblical prophecy. So that is the kind of wide angle lens of considering all this. And I remember when you spoke at Charlie Kirk's funeral service, Debbie and I were in the 5th or 6th row up front, the wonderful kind of evocation of spiritual renewal. This film has that feel to it, and I want it to be part of that renewal. It takes you into some dark places. It's got riveting footage of October 7th. It talks about literally the kind of MO or the sort of modus operandi of the devil himself. But at the same time, it doesn't leave you there. It leaves you on a note of restoration and renewal.
So how should we be viewing this conflict through a spiritual lens, Dinesh? Well,
Jonathan Cahn, who wrote the book called The Dragon's Prophecy, he makes this interesting point. He goes, the war between Israel and Hamas, and October 7th itself, he goes, is an eerie replay or recreation of ancient battles in the Bible between the Israelites and their longtime enemy called the Philistines. Now, interestingly, Philistine, Palestine, same word, same name. It's been kind of transported through history. But Kahn's real point is this. that the tactics are also the same. The battle plan is the same. So if I can give an example, there's a hero in the Bible named Samson. Samson represents like the strength of Israel. Samson is captured by the Philistines. They blind him, kind of in the way Israel was, quote, blinded on October 7th. The Bible says that Samson was dragged to Gaza. So Gaza is in the Bible. And it says that when he got there, the people of Gaza said, strip him and bring him out so he can entertain us. Sure enough, right after October 7th, these captives, these hostages, stripped to the waist, paraded in Gaza. People are dancing around them, Allahu Akbar. So Khan makes the striking observation that Samson, think about this, 3,000 years ago, is the first hostage of Gaza. So this is what I'm talking about when I say we're applying a very provocative and interesting analysis that links the events going up in front of us. And we're saying, look, these are historical events and the peace plan, but they might also be biblical events that have been hinted at or charted in this kind of unfolding map of biblical history and also biblical prophecy.
Where will it end? I mean, do you believe that this could potentially be a lasting peace in Gaza? I mean, it's been a hell of a war. When you look at the status on the ground, how do you think that this ends, Dinesh?
I would say a couple of things. One is that if the Bible is to be believed, there will never be a permanent solution. You notice that other countries, other problems in the world get solved, but this place festers, and it's festered really since the formation of the state of Israel. That being said, I do think that it is not unreasonable to say that God is using Trump in a very profound way to achieve things that previous presidents have, they've attempted. I mean, Nixon attempted it, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton. Most of those people made very limited headway. In some cases, didn't even move an inch. But here comes Trump, this real estate guy. I think he looks at the rubble in Gaza and he goes, well, I see nice apartments. I see tall buildings, maybe a Trump Tower, people going to work, high-tech firms, peace, prosperity. So let's give them that option. Let's give them that fork in the road. Now, maybe it's too twisted. Maybe there's too much indoctrination. Maybe some of them say we love blood. So maybe in the end, it won't work. But I am hopeful, and I mean this not just in a political, but also in a spiritual sense, that there is, in fact, an enduring peace in that region.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's the moral imperative, and nobody wants more hostages or children to be slaughtered or indiscriminate bombings or Christian churches to be bombed, right? Nobody wants that, and more importantly, I don't want my country dragged into that, right? I don't want my country dragged into more forever war, and I think there's a moral imperative for my children who are American, to not have more conflict in the Middle East. I've had a bellyful. I think everyone's done with that, and we don't want more of that. In
the connection of the civilian casualties, we have this line in the movie. I found it from the former Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir. She says, we can forgive the Arabs for killing our children, but we can't forgive them for making us kill their children. I mean, think of what a interesting and in some ways kind of profound observation this is. I do think that there is no defense for civilian casualties on either side. And I think Trump's instinct, which is listen, we can't solve it all, but let's bring it to a stop. Let's see if we can have a modicum and the ingenuity of bringing in the Muslim countries. I mean, this began with the Abraham Accords, but now the idea of an international authority dominated by the Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, the Gulf kingdoms. I mean, this is, I think, a way of finding a solution that doesn't make Islam into the problem, but rather tries to find a practical way to bring the conflict to an end.
Yeah, I think it's a much larger, is Islam the problem? What is the actual problem? That's in the longer 3-hour podcast that I look forward to doing with you one of these days, Dinesh. 3 hours is something that you spent with Donald Trump here watching your movie. We actually have a clip. We have a photo. We have the photo. There's you and Trump watching. We have it. We took it. Here's the photo. There you go. We can prove it. This was a couple of years ago at Mar-a-Lago. Trump taking in the Dinesh documentary 2000 Mules. I did, before we go, and obviously the Dragon's Prophecy film, you can go and watch it right now. The website is thedragonprophecyfilm.com. It's in the description. I did want to touch on one other thing, Dinesh, that was a bit of a bit of a crossroads for you, a fascinating thing that perhaps only you could comment on, which is the original weaponization of government by Barack Obama against you. And everybody said, like, Barack Obama, clean as a whistle. He would never weaponize the federal government. And Joe Biden didn't weaponize the federal government, of course. And this is just a wholesale lie. And you're living proof of that. Sort of your reaction to that line, that narrative that is being ferreted out right now in the corporate press.
Right after I released my film on Obama, and the real heresy of that film was not that it was a critique of Obama. I went inside of Obama's world. I mean, I was at his family homestead in a small village called Kogelo in Kenya. I asked for an interview with his grandmother, and she said, I will do it if you bring me a goat. And so in that film, you can see me dragging a very unwilling goat to the interview. I interviewed Obama's brother living in a slum outside of Nairobi, in Slumdog Millionaire conditions, and so I made him look bad. Sure enough, 5 weeks after the film comes out, first of all, I'm being denounced on a website called barackobama.com. That tells you something. And then the FBI is like banging on my door. So this is what launched my case. At the time, I thought, I'm kind of one of these really clueless immigrants. I should have known there's like a big target on my back. I've irritated this vindictive narcissist. I saw it as a one-off. I had no idea it was the opening chapter of a story that would include, Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Michael Flynn, ultimately Trump. So, I was like the preface of that novel, so to speak. And, yes. But, looking back on it, the one benefit I got out of it is it taught me right up close the gangsterization that it was happening inside the U.S. government and in the Democratic Party. And so I became a different kind of conservative almost overnight. Before that, I was kind of an academic conservative. We need to educate the other side. We need to give them facts and ideas. They're ignorant. We need to enlighten them. But then I realized, they're not just ignorant. These people are wicked. They will actually stoop to nothing. If those guys, by the way, Eric Holder and that gang, if they could have put me away for 20 years for a small contribution to a college, they'd have done it. So once you see that steely look in their eyes, you begin to realize what you're up against. And I think in a way, it's taken the Republican Party many, many years to take stock of what has actually happened. I think when it happened to Trump, people were like, okay, we get the picture. And we are a little bit of a different party now as a result, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, it makes me want to scream, dude. Like, honestly, Dinesh, it makes me want to grab people by their collars and shake them on our side when they're like, Jimmy Kimmel was put in timeout by ABC for 4 nights. And then the scolds, I would call them literally the woke scolds on our side on the right were like, could you imagine if Democrats censored conservatives? Yeah, I can imagine, you dumbasses. Like, yes, I can actually, because they censored me. They censored they ripped our executive producer, ALX, off the internet for nothing. Right? They destroyed the careers of so many people, including Charlie Kirk. And now not destroyed his career, but they did literally target Charlie, target Turning Point. They went after all of our social media. We have the documents to prove it from the CIA, from the FBI, that they were coming after me and Charlie. And so, yes, I actually do. Yes, I can imagine what would happen. And it was far worse than us being put in timeout and still getting our $16 million a year contract like Jimmy Kimmel has. It was, it was a legitimate destruction of our ability to speak and engage online. That's what they were doing to us. And so it pisses me off. You were one of the original, people that they went after politically because you had the wrong political views, or you pissed them off just enough that they were going to just try and destroy your life. You were the precursor to all this stuff that happened to Trump. And so, the real ones know. Right.
We have to do to them what they have been doing to us. Correct. Otherwise, they will never stop. So if they want to call it retribution, I say that retribution is basically kind of a big man's word for justice.
Yes, that's exactly right. And this is how you take down the mob, actually. Like, how you take down the mob is you go and you use RICO and you take down the mob for their criminal activity.
Exactly.
That's how you take down the mob. Yeah.
I love seeing on, they keep saying, Trump is doing vengeance. And I go, okay, but Can you tell us what he's doing vengeance for? What might you have done to him that might want to make him feel in a mood of vengeance? Spell that out for us, will you, CNN?
Yeah. Vengeance would be actually bankrupting the Bidens and would be hoaxing the Bidens and would be putting, shooting bullets, God forbid. That's what the left has been doing to us. I would never advocate for that, but I'm saying, do you people have any idea what your side is doing right now? There's an attorney general candidate that's saying, let's go kill Republicans and their children. What do you mean? Of course there's a problem here and you have to put a stop to it. Right. And so I'm totally in favor of what the DOJ is doing. They can't do enough of it. I mean, it's really important, obviously, because otherwise you do descend into sectarian violence. You do descend into civil war. And I don't want to see that happen. Your parting thoughts on James Comey? He's been mewling and crying about all of this. I know he was most likely involved in what happened to you, Dinesh.
Well, I'd like to see. He was, in fact, the FBI director. I mean, it was initially Mueller, then he handed the baton to Comey, a very bad guy. I'd like to see all these guys. I mean, Brennan, Clapper, this entire gang of consiglieres. Of course, I think the ultimate authorities were Hillary, but most of all, Obama. I'm not sure if those two will ever be held to account. But let's start at least with Comey and his other comrades. That would be a good start. And also, Benny, if I may say so, with regard to the film, the dragonsprophecyfilm.com, that's the website. It's streaming. It's available for DVD. I think you'll be profoundly moved if you watch the film. So check it out.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Dinesh D'Souza. Here's also his account on X. You can follow him there. And, of course, the link to the Dragon's Prophecy is in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, Dinesh is followed by 5.2 million Americans. Thank you very much, Dinesh.
Thanks, Benny. Always a pleasure.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, our executive producer, ALX, who's back on X, by the way. They did take him off. They did take him off X, but he's back. He's telling me that there's been a delay in the cabinet meeting. So the reality for us is that we may just wrap the show. I don't know what else, I don't know what else to do. And unless we have no idea. There's so many things that are going on. They may just cancel the cabinet meeting. Trump may fly to Israel. Nobody knows. So, guys, we were left with no other choice, guys. Cabinet meeting at 11. It will be televised to the world, so tune in. Caroline said that it will be at 11 a.m. The pool report is saying that the pool has not been called into the cabinet meeting room yet. So we don't know when this is going to go on. So, guys, I can't fly blind. So I'm just going to have a producer make a call here as to where we want to go. I mean, I'd love to flow with the show right into the cabinet meeting. But the other option for us, I suppose, would be that we just go live again during the cabinet meeting. I mean, they're always really fun. They're always incredibly entertaining. But we've locked in the whole show, and now we're ready to go. So I don't know. There is one funny little nugget here, which is a screaming match between Hakeem Jeffries and Mike Lawler, who is a Republican member of Congress, who has been on the show. He's been a friend of the show. And he went up to Hakeem Jeffries, and he shouted him down. Pretty interesting. Are you mathematically challenged, bro? Jeffries talking to a representative from New York. So they're both congressmen from New York. Mike Lawler. Lawler. Mike Lawler. There we go. Confronted House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries outside of the news conference that he had over bipartisan compromise, a key flashpoint over federal funding. He also taunted Jeffries about whether he would endorse Democratic Socialist Orhan Mandami in New York. Jeffries did not answer. First of all, I don't answer to you. You don't even answer to yourself. Dun, dun, dun. Let's go. This is pretty based. Let's go ahead and play it, and let me lock in with my producers to see where we're headed here. Okay, here we go.
Your extension.
Yeah,
Why don't we sign on right now?
Ask your question. Did you
Why don't we sign on
get
right
permission
now?
from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss Donald
You
Trump?
can easily extend
Did your
the
boss?
ACA
Did your
right
boss
now.
Donald Trump
He's
give
not
you
my
permission?
boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. And by the way,
So let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know
did
I
you
didn't.
vote to shut
Let
it
me
down?
ask you a question.
For years, you always
Well,
lectured about how we need to keep the government
you're
open.
making a show of this to
No,
make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You could
It's
easily
an
sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
could
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassment
chasing
here is
clout.
you.
You're an
You
embarrassment.
could sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a question.
You have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me
Why
ask you a
won't you
question.
sign on
Let me
to
ask you a
it?
question.
It's a
Let
clean
me ask you
extension
a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax
largest-
cut bill that gave the largest tax cut
the
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including,
largest-
by the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that?
You're embarrassing
Do you wanna,
yourself right
you want
now.
to cut the standard deduction in
The
half?
largest
Is that what
cut to
you wanna do?
Medicaid in
No, we
American
rooted
history.
out
You
waste,
voted for that.
fraud, and abuse, by the
You
way.
voted
Tom DiNapoli, the
for a
Democratic
permanent-
controller of New York,
Let me ask you a question.
pointed out that $1.2
If
billion
you're gonna
wasted.
listen, you're not gonna talk. You're not gonna talk to me.
Wasted
You're not gonna
on
talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
fraud.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why don't
Go
you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
Because you
is
showed
that-
up.
is that the way to
You
talk?
showed up. You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on to
bill.
this. You can extend it right
A
now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of Americans.
So they can get a permanent.
All right. Okay. Good. Good. Hakeem Jeffries is so unimpressive, man. He's not smart. He's a very unimpressive politician. And they're not sending their best. All right, here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to push it to noon, and we're going to see. And if the cabinet meeting is over an hour late, then we're just going to have to move on. And so we're going to push it again we're going to push to noon here, and we have a perfect conversation to be had about low IQ Democrat politicians, how bad it is when you have super states like New York or like California with a single party rule. It does not inspire the best and the brightest. And that is what we're seeing there in New York with Hakeem Jeffries. Some people call him Dime Store Obama. Some people call him Timu Obama. People are saying it's just like, just sad. Just honestly, like, not bright, not impressive. There's nothing Hakeem Jeffries ever done or said that like makes people go, wow, that's really, wow, geez. He's so good at this. And it's even worse in the state of California. I like in states like California and to sports teams, part of the excitement of buying a ticket and sitting in a seat and getting some popcorn and a hot dog and a soft drink and watching your sports team is that something exciting will happen and you will win the game. But you don't know. You don't know who's going to win. But in states like California, there is no game. It's like would you buy a ticket if you knew the game was rigged? The Harlem Globetrotters versus the Washington Generals. The game is always rigged. The Harlem Globetrotters will win. It's a guarantee. What if your team was able to rig the rules so that they always won? And that's what you have for Democrats in California. They have rigged or broken the rules to such an extent. They've bent the rules to such an extent that they've snapped and busted. And now it's like just guaranteed that through obscene fraud, Democrats will just rule that state. Now, we're trying to change that. We're trying to change that. And ALX, this is probably a good opportunity to put up some of the information about voter ID in California. Because we're working to save California by placing voter ID on the ballot. And we're going to be a megaphone for this operation. We're collecting signatures right now. Guys, I want the website. I want posts, the tweets. Get them up. And the reason why you got to save California is because you have to have, at the very least, fair elections. The way to do that is mandatory voter ID. And that's how you prevent people like Katie Porter from taking office. Katie Porter is a congresswoman from California. She is a monster. You know, she's a literal monster. Let's read through this article. She is one of the single worst people living in America today. This is undeniable based on what we know about her from her own divorce documentation. Her husband proved in court that Katie Porter is an abusive sociopath who's violent, maybe a member of Antifa. We don't know. Katie Porter dumped scalding pot of mashed potatoes on her husband's scalp, burning him, among many other things. Let's read the top line here. Former husband of Katie Porter said that California Democrat frequently abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him during their marriage. She even poured scalding hot mashed potatoes on his head during a fight, according to divorce records. The guy's name is Matt Hoffman. Poor man. Sent him a Christmas card. He filed for divorce from Porter and requested a restraining order against her because she would routinely call him an effing idiot, an effing incompetent. She was totally rage prone. She shattered a glass coffee pot on their kitchen counter when she felt that their house wasn't clean enough. She would not let me have a cell phone because she said, "You're too effing dumb to operate it." She's been accused of ridiculing members of her own staff, obviously, and when she's angry, she'll claw and scratch at her own arms and say, "Look what you made me do." She regularly says that I'm a bad parent for the kids, according to her husband. She has used their children to attack him. The children are now spitting on me and throwing their food at me and calling me a bad daddy. These are the kind of toxic demons, these truly unhealthy, sick, slovenly white women that are just horrible people. And they make up the left. This is the truly like the epicenter, the core of energy on the left is miserable, repulsive white women who have like just the most unhappy and unhealthy personal lives. You can see here, of course, here she is with Stephen Colbert. Classic. This is the energy of the left. This is the energy of the left. In 2006, Hoffman said, Porter took issue with how he was preparing mashed potatoes for dinner, saying, "Can't you read the effing instructions?" Then Porter raised a ceramic bowl of steaming hot potatoes and dumped it on my head, burning my scalp. Goodness. Amazing. This is horrific, and let me give you a little piece of other horrific information. Katie Porter is the leading candidate for California's governor. This would be the fourth largest economy in the world. California voters, because of how broken the system is in California, will be given the opportunity to have the political equivalent of scalding hot potatoes dumped on their heads. As Katie Porter, someone who looks like a scalded potato, is dumped on them. Katie Porter just went viral this week for a meltdown in an interview. That is something like I've never seen before in my life. This Katie Porter interview meltdown is one of the most special moments in American political history because it shows you that they've lost. The left has lost because they've forgot how to argue. They forgot how to think, logic, or reason. The left can't do any of those things because they've lived inside of a protection bubble for the last 30 years, where they never got an adversarial question and they never had to leave the comfy confines of modern culture that is completely femme-coded and left-wing coded. They've never had to address or like meet the moment. They've never had to like look at the world the way that the real world is. And when you pierce that bubble, and when you ask what CBS did, which was a couple follow-up questions, the meltdown and histrionics are unspeakable to like the average American. And this is what you see in this Katie Porter interview. You'll see why it went so viral. A reminder, she's doing an interview not with Newsmax, not with Lindell TV, not with the Benny Show, but with CBS News. Watch this.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're
saying. In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered our follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never
reporter.
had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting, it's a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just on the responses to that question. And I've asked everybody the same follow-up questions.
Maybe I should abandon my attempt to save California. Wouldn't it be comedy gold if Katie Porter became governor? For the good of the channel, I mean, now I'm torn. Sitting back and watching that, I kind of want that show. Yes, I know Joe Biden was really bad for America. It was really funny, though. So you have to balance these things and be like, yeah, but wasn't that really funny? Boy, it's kind of for just the dark humor, for the gallows humor, don't you just kind of want that energy running California for the next 4 years? Don't you want to give these people that? These people. Do you know there's more Republicans in California than any other state? Because it's just such a massive state. It does deserve to be saved. Of course we're going to actually go save California. We're going to try at the very least. Because it'll make Gavin Newsom cry. It'll make Katie Porter rage. I don't want to have an unpleasant experience with you. You could see there, she was willing. She was about to commit violence. By the way, her staff must hate her so much because they allowed her to have, can you get a screenshot of her face in that lighting? Your job as a staff, and it looks like the cabinet meeting is about to start, so we'll do it'll be fun. We'll roll into the cabinet meeting. Why not? If you're going to do a hit, you got to make sure that the lighting, especially if you're a staffer, doesn't make you look like a horror character out of a horror film. Jeez, man, get me some of those screenshots of the. Oh my gosh. Like what staffer approves this? They must hate her. They must hate her. Oh, well, here we go.
Individual in other countries.
Oh boy. Did it just start? Okay. They're bumping in. Just started. Okay, fine. Just started. Here we go. The cabinet meeting has started. It looks like guys, you can pop it up. The one that we were using.
Day for you, sir. Today we have your Columbus Day proclamation for Monday, which we're signing a bit early. Christopher Columbus obviously discovered the New World, and he was a great Italian explorer. He sailed his 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, across the Atlantic Ocean and landed in what's today the Caribbean. But this is a particularly important holiday for Italian Americans who celebrate the legacy of Christopher Columbus and the innovation and explorer zeal that he represented.
In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day.
Yes.
That was the press that broke out in applause.
3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, across the Atlantic Ocean and landed in what's today the Caribbean. But this is a particularly important holiday for Italian Americans who celebrate the legacy of Christopher Columbus and the innovation and explorer zeal that he represented.
In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day. Okay.
Yes.
That was the press that broke out in applause. That was, can you believe that? I've never seen that happen before. The press actually broke out in applause. Good. Columbus Day. We're back. Columbus Day, we're back, Italians. Okay. We love the Italians. Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Great. Thank you very much.
Have a good one, sir.
So we covered Scandinavia and Italy. Not bad. Now for the rest of the world. So I want to thank everybody for being here. As you know, last night we reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday. Getting them is a complicated process. I'd rather not tell you what they have to do to get them. There are places you don't want to be, but we are getting the hostages back on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, and that'll be a day of joy. I'm going to try and make a trip over. We're going to try and get over there, and we're working on the timing, the exact timing. We're going to go to Egypt, where we'll have a signing, an additional signing. We've already had a signing representing me, but we're going to have an official signing. And the amazing thing is all of the countries over there, from Qatar to Saudi Arabia to UAE to all of them, I mean, the rich ones, the less than rich ones, they've all come together, something which is amazing, actually. They've all come together for this, and they're really probably the best relationships they've ever had. So it's been really something incredible that nobody thought it was possible to get it done. And very importantly, the hostages are coming back. As you know, they consider them hostages. They talk about them as hostages, but there are approximately 28 dead people, mostly young, mostly men, but and boys. I mean, boys. The one woman talked about her baby. Her baby's 25 years old, but you know, to her it's her baby, and we're bringing them home. We're getting them we're getting everything, and to those parents, the dead young man is just as important, as though this person were alive. It's amazing. I've never seen anything quite like it. I've been very much involved. I've never seen anything quite like it. But it's really peace in the Middle East. And you remember October 7th was terrible, but also from the Hamas standpoint, they probably lost 70,000 people. That's big retribution. That's big retribution. But at some point, that whole That whole thing has to stop, and we're going to see to it. Gaza is going to be slowly redone. You have tremendous wealth in that part of the world by certain countries, and just a small part of that, what they make will do wonders for Gaza. And I think you're going to see some tremendous countries stepping up and putting up a lot of money and taking care of things. But there's tremendous spirit like I haven't seen. And even the news, I won't call it fake news for this purpose, because they really were very fair today, I must tell you, in all cases. But they covered it very well. They covered it very fairly. Everybody loves it, everybody. People that were never giving us a fair shake, frankly, they can't even believe it. They're so, they're amazed by it. A lot of people are. But it was just everything came together. I think the attack was very important on Iran, because let's say that didn't happen, they'd probably by now have a nuclear weapon, numerous nuclear weapons, and therefore, even if we signed a deal, there'd be a big dark cloud over it, and it wouldn't be the same thing. So Iran's different, but Iran wants to work on peace now. They've informed us, and they've acknowledged that they're totally in favor of this deal. They think it's a great thing. So we appreciate that, and we'll work with Iran. As you know, we have major sanctions on Iran and lots of other things. We'd like to see them be able to rebuild their country too, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. So I want to express my tremendous gratitude to the leaders of Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey for helping us reach this incredible day and for being there. They were there with us all the way. And of course, as you know, Saudi Arabia and Jordan and so many. I will tell you, President Erdogan was personally involved in dealing with Hamas and some of the others. He's been great. They've all been really amazing. Indonesia's been amazing. Indonesia's been fantastic. The whole world has come together for this. People that didn't get along, people that didn't like each other, neighboring countries that frankly didn't like each other, but now it's just this moment in time. So we look forward to welcoming the hostages, like you can't believe, home to their families, and that'll take place early next week. We hope Monday or Tuesday. And all Americans should be proud of the role that our country has played in bringing this terrible conflict to an end. And I want to thank, some of the people, JD, you were fantastic, and Pete, you were great. Marco was fantastic. Some of you were very much involved. I'm looking around. So indirectly, I think almost everybody in this room was involved. Susie, I want to thank you very much. You were incredible. You've done an incredible job. So, and yes, John, what you've done was invaluable. CIA, John Ratcliffe, and he's done an incredible job. So I want to thank you all, and if I'm missing anybody, I apologize, but you've been amazing. And then you have Steve Witkoff, who worked so hard. And you remember, we settled 7, this is number 8, we settled 7 wars, or major conflicts, but wars. And this is number 8. And the one that I thought would be maybe the quickest of all would be Russia-Ukraine, and I think that's going to happen too. But in the meantime, they're losing about 7,000 people a week, and that seems pretty bad. They're losing mostly soldiers, young soldiers. They go out to war, and they're getting killed. And while it doesn't affect us in a lot of ways, we've got a big ocean in between, you don't want to see that happen. It was a big mistake. That war should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were president. So we're here this morning for a cabinet meeting as my administration continues to deliver for the American people, despite the radical left lunatics that shut down our government. You have Democrats that they've lost their way. They have no leadership. We don't even know who to deal with over there. At least they know who to deal with. We have no idea who we're dealing with over there. It's like they have no idea what they're doing. Republicans have voted repeatedly to pass a clean, nonpartisan bill to reopen government at the same funding levels. We're not going to do anything only good for health care. We're really, I think, become the party of good health care. And they keep using health care as a cudgel. They want to try and get everyone thinking about health care. We're the ones that are saving health care. In fact, one of the things we're doing is we're going to be reducing the cost of medicines by 100%, 200, 300, 500%, and even more than that, because as you know, we're in the process of favored nations right now. We've exercised a clause because we were subsidizing the entire world. The entire world pays a fraction of what the United States has been paying. And we've already, numerous Pfizer and other companies have already signed. And other countries are a bigger problem because they've been getting a subsidized rate. We've been paying for years. This has gone on for 30 years. We've been reducing the rate of drugs for other countries because we've been paying much more than we're supposed to. And they used all sorts of ideas like research and development. I said, what about Germany? What about these other countries? Aren't they paying? No, we have to pay research and development. It was all nonsense, and I couldn't listen to it anymore. So it's a very radical, big, tough shift. Very tough. We got a lot of things going on there. But, you know, and you probably heard me say this in my first term, I think it was my third year, we reduced drugs from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And I was so proud of it. I actually had a news conference to announce it, and it was 1/8 of 1%. Think of that, which is barely a reduction. But it's the first time in 28 years that there was a reduction in drug prices for the year. So from the beginning to the end, it was 1/8 of 1%. And I was so proud of myself. I did something that nobody else could do. But when I started to think about it, I said, doesn't make sense. And then I'm starting to look at numbers where a pill or a treatment or some pharmaceutical product is selling in Europe for 10% of what we pay for in New York City or in any one of our places and cities, states. And then I see people leaving for other countries to go buy their pharmaceuticals, where they make journeys to various other countries, including Europe, where they got the best bargains of all. And I put an end to it. It's over. And now we're, in major, I guess, disputes, but we're winning the disputes by a lot. With the countries, a couple of countries said, we won't do this. I said, well, it's unfair that we're paying 10%, and, you're paying just a fraction of what we're paying for the same product made in the same plant. And they said, well, we're not going to do it. I said, that's okay. You don't have to do it. But I'm going to put a tariff of 9% or 7% or whatever the amount of money is. And I'm going to put a tariff on your country for the amount of money that you're taking advantage of us for. No, you can't. I said, yeah, I can do that. I'm going to do that. And they would immediately agree. And I'd make the tariff substantially more than the number we're talking about. And they would immediately agree. So we have the consent, I think, Bobby, of every country, essentially. They know that if they don't do it, we're going to put a tariff on for double the price, and then they're going to do it. So we never had that before. You never had anybody in here that knew what the hell they were doing, I'll be honest. It really makes me angry. Because for years and years, and this started many years ago, and basically we subsidize the world. So this is going to have a huge positive impact on Medicare, Medicaid, even Social Security. But anything where there's pharmaceuticals, drugs involved, it's going to have a tremendous impact. So we're going to get drug reductions of 100%. I told you 1/8 of 1% that I was proud of myself. Now you're going to get 100%, 150%, 200, 300, 400, 500%. You're going to get the biggest drug reductions that you've ever seen. And they're already, I guess they're starting to kick in, but we've made deals with numerous companies and we're going for the full board. We want whatever the price is. So that would mean that the world price, because the world is bigger than the United States, a lot more people, but the world price will go up a little bit and our price will come down a lot. So if a pill sells for $10 in London and $100 here, the pill will go to $20 in London and $20 for us. It's pretty simple. And that is a number that nobody can even fathom. It's a little like tariffs. Nobody knew how big they were. Nobody knew until they started seeing the trillions of dollars that have come in. I don't know why they didn't understand it. It's something they should have understood. we were taken advantage of for years with tariffs. And now, I don't want to say we're taking advantage, but we've become a very strong country because of the money that's coming in. Republicans have voted repeatedly to pass a clean, nonpartisan bill to reopen our government. And remember, at the same funding levels, both parties have supported in the past. So the radical Democrats have chosen to put the economy of our country. We have the best economy we've ever had. We had the best economy in my first term, but we have an economy that's blowing it away. And we have the Democrats are trying to obstruct. They don't want to have a good economy. I don't think they want to have a good country. That's why they try and stop our law enforcement from doing what we did in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., we have a great, safe, beautiful capital right now. Beautiful. It's so safe. You can walk down the street. Numerous people standing before me were mugged. And you're not going to get mugged anymore. We have a safe capital, one of the safest. We took it from one of the most unsafe places to one of the most safe places in the country. And we also beautified it, and we're in the process of doing even more so. So we're very proud of our capital again. We were embarrassed by our capital. A lot of people being killed that come from Iowa, Indiana, Florida, that come up, and they end up getting shot. They're not getting shot. We moved out 1,700 people approximately, right? Approximately 1,700 hardened criminals, career criminals. They moved them out. So Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the congressional Democrats are holding the entire federal government hostage. I will tell you, a lot of Democrats want to get this thing open too. They do. They're calling us, and they just want to get it open. And all we're doing is saying, just play the same thing until we get it straight. And they don't know how to go about it. I mean, and the problem is we really don't know who the hell is leading the Democrats. You have this AOC, I don't know her at all, but I watched her the other day. She said, well, if they want, they could come to my office. That's not leadership, you know. The only one that challenged her actually was Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy's not looking too good. I don't know what happened to Nancy, but she's not looking great. But she was the only one, I give her credit, she was the only one that challenged her. But AOC said that they can come to her office and negotiate, the Republicans. And we're saying, oh, I didn't know she was in leadership. But she's taking Hakeem Jeffries' place, and Schumer's afraid that she's going to run against him. And right now, I don't know, it can change, life is crazy, right? But right now he can't beat, I don't think he can beat anybody. So he'll lose in a primary. I would say he'll retire before he loses in a primary. So I think Schumer's going to retire because he can't beat anybody. His polls are so bad. Meanwhile, the Democrat shutdown is causing pain and suffering for hardworking Americans, including our military, our air traffic controllers, and impoverished mothers, people with young children, people that have to live not the greatest of lives. But we're doing so many tax cuts. We've cut their taxes. The great big beautiful bill, we've cut their taxes at levels that nobody's ever seen. I mean, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. It's been a great thing for a lot of people. They're doing great. Despite all of the damage that it's caused, the shutdown has been, pretty damaging. I mean, it's not yet because it's early, but it gets a little bit worse as it goes along. And we'll be making cuts that will be permanent. And we're only going to cut Democrat programs. I hate to tell you. I guess that makes sense. But we're only cutting Democrat programs. But we're going to start that, and we have Russell. We can talk to you about it if he wants to, but we'll be cutting some very popular Democrat programs that aren't popular with Republicans, frankly, because that's the way it works. They wanted to do this, so we'll give them a little taste of their own medicine. But Chuck Schumer proclaimed this morning that every day gets better for them. No, every day it's actually getting worse for them. And they're having a rebellion in the Democrat Party because they want to stop. And if you saw all of Schumer's, I watched last night like 10 different times over the years, he said, you can't shut down government, you can't shut down, and now he's the one that shut it down. So this is a confession that he's acting not to serve the people, but to serve the partisan interests of his party. And I don't think he's serving them well because they're way down. Look, they just lost an election in a landslide. It was interesting. I watched Kamala, who's a sad figure, I watched her the other day saying the election was very close. I said, no, the election was a landslide. We won the popular vote by millions. We won the Electoral College by, I think, 312 or 315 to 220 something. But there's another one that we won that's probably, that's why when you see the maps are completely red. It's counties. The counties, we won at 2,505 to 525. So 2,500 to 525. That's called one of the greatest, biggest landslides in history. And that's one that people are using now as a primary. But literally, when you see it colored in, the entire country is red representing Republicans. So, you know, they go around, they just lie. They just lie. And everything's a big lie with them. Well, the other side, and the other thing I don't understand is, Christie, I looked at crime numbers in Chicago. They're through the roof. And I have a governor who stands up every day and tells us how wonderful Chicago is. Just a lie. It's like a con job. It's like Gavin Newsom. He says how well he's doing in California, and they're doing terribly. Population's getting smaller. People are leaving. And other people are coming in. And, you know, I wouldn't say it's an even trade. While the other side is focused on playing games, the Trump administration's focused on creating jobs, bringing down prices, and we've really brought them down a lot. That's the other thing. We're bringing down prices a lot. We're bringing down grocery prices, but the big thing is energy. When you bring down energy, everything comes down, and the energy prices are way down. I see we're down to about $61 now a barrel, and what gasoline's going to be, I think gasoline's going to be below $2 at some point in the pretty near future. It's very low, much lower than it was under Sleepy Joe. And we're restoring law and order in our country. We're restoring it here, but we're restoring it right now. We're in Memphis. We're going to Chicago. We're going to other cities. Many governors are asking us to, including Democrats are trying to ask. I don't know what the big problem is. If I were a Democrat governor, I'd be saying, whatever you can do to get crime down, I'll take anybody. You can bring them in I don't care who it is. A lot of people said that. They interviewed women, these beautiful women in Chicago, black women with a MAGA hat, a red hat. They said, we don't care who he brings in here, but this place is really dangerous. We just want crime to stop. It's true. They don't care. You know, they don't differentiate between the National Guard and the Marines. They don't care. They'll take anybody. And that's the way it is. I mean, they want what we did in D.C., they want to happen to them. And it's happening in Memphis already. I see in less than a week, the numbers are really good. And it'll be great, and we'll fix that. We'll go to various other places, and we're going to be stopping crime in our cities. And that's a great thing, and we won't get credit for it, but it's a great thing. We've launched a historic campaign to take back our nation from the gangs and the street criminals, violent repeat offenders, illegal alien lawbreakers, domestic extremists, and savage, bloodthirsty cartels. And very little, by the way, is coming in by water, in case you haven't known. The drugs aren't coming in by water. In fact, we can't even find any boats in the water anymore. We had boats, we were like a subway train loaded up with drugs. Every single boat that you see getting taken out kills 25,000 Americans. Think of that. Because it's pretty tough stuff, but it kills 25,000 Americans. So when you hear that, it's no longer tough. But here in Washington, we've deployed federal law enforcement and National Guard to restore public safety, and we're working to replicate that in numerous places all over the country. And we have a very powerful military. We have a very powerful National Guard. I want to thank the governor of Texas, who has been, as usual, great. Governor Abbott, he gave us 400 troops without even a question. And we have other governors likewise doing what has to be done because they know we have to confront crime. We're directly confronting the sinister threat of left-wing domestic terrorism and violence, including the terrorist group Antifa. You saw that yesterday. We had a news conference. Antifa's out of control in Portland and other places, but mostly Portland in the case of Antifa. And we had people that were really badly affected by them. It was terrible. So one of those things, but we're knocking the hell out of them. and we're looking for the people that are funding them, and those people are going to be just as guilty as the people that smack people over the head with a baseball bat. And I'd like now to ask Attorney General Bondi and Secretary Noem to discuss this a little bit and tell where we are, and then we'll go around the room. We'll go quickly. We're going to go quickly if we can, because we have a lot of things to do, including I won't be spending that much time here because I'll be leaving fairly soon for the Middle East. And I'm very honored to be involved with that, I'll tell you. It's a great thing for our country. People are so happy about it. I've never experienced anything quite like it. I've never seen such universal praise for being able to do something. No, it's something that nobody thought was possible, and we're going to end up having peace in the Middle East. Who would have thought? So, Pam, could you start, and then Christy, please.
Sure, President Trump, and despite the Democrat shutdown of our government, our law enforcement officers are out there working without paychecks, round the clock, to keep and make America safe. Secretary Hegseth and I were recently in Memphis. We had 1,100 law enforcement officers in one room with us. The Memphis PD, they were the happiest to see us, don't you think, Secretary Hegseth, of anyone. We had ATF, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals. I'm not sure if our park police were there. We had Treasury, Secretary Bessent, and of course we had Secretary Noem's Homeland Security, all working together with the Guard. They were so happy to have us there. We've been making arrests left and right. So far, we made 562 arrests and seized 144 illegal guns just in the short time we've been in Memphis.
And many of these people are career criminals. And when you take them out of a place, your crime rate just goes down. These people commit crimes every single day. They're sick. And we're taking them out. In some cases, we're bringing them back to their countries where Biden allowed, with the stupid open borders that we had in our country, to come in. But they're being brought back to other places, or they're being put in jail, but they're career criminals.
President Trump, last night alone, we made 91 arrests, 19 firearms off the streets, and one was a warrant for a homicide, and 4 sex offenders who had active warrants. One was a sex offender on a child. Everything we did in Memphis was worth it, in my opinion, for that one arrest. Think about that. We got a child rapist off the streets, but yet we've made 562 arrests and still going strong in Memphis. Just what we did in D.C. But it's because it's all of us. It's a team working for you to make America safe, all together, round the clock.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pam.
Thank
You're
you,
doing a great
President
job.
Trump.
And it's amazing that we're not getting cooperation from Democrats. It's like, it's a new issue. You know, we have all the old issues of the wall and the border and all of the things, men playing in women's sports, they still want that, transgender for everybody. All these issues are so crazy, but we have a new one. It's called crime. We stop crime, and they allow crime. They want crime. It doesn't make sense. I think it's as ridiculous as the other things that we talk about all the time. But I've added it onto our list, a 5-letter word called crime. We stop it, and they actually incite it. It's crazy. You would think they'd want them. You'd think they'd want Christy and Pam and all of the people. If we needed the military, Pete will be there. We've got a massive military. We have the best numbers we've ever had for recruitment. We have a lot of people now. We have people that can't get into them. In a great economy, they want to be soldiers again. A year ago, they didn't want to even think about it. Same thing as with police and firemen, everything. They want to join. They're proud of our country again. Christy, go ahead, please.
Well, sir, thank you for your leadership and for deploying all of government to help us keep our country safe. You have talked extensively about how threatened our ICE officers are, but all of our law enforcement out there. And we saw the shooting in Dallas at that facility, so we're hardening all of our buildings and making sure that we have more security measures, snipers on the roof, people to protect our law enforcement while they're out there on the streets. But what I'm also doing, sir, is, and with your authority, is we're purchasing more buildings in Chicago to operate out of. We're gonna not back off. In fact, we're doubling down, and we're gonna be in more parts of Chicago in response to the people there. And then I was there a few days ago and looked at some facilities that we can deploy more law enforcement out of. Because what they're trying to do with these riots and violence is distract us and keep us from going after those murderers and rapists that are out in the streets. And then I was in Portland, went out and back on Tuesday and met with the governor, met with the mayor, met with the chief of police and the superintendent of the highway patrol. They're all lying and disingenuous and dishonest people, because as soon as you leave the room, then they make the exact opposite response. So we're looking at new facilities to purchase. They're in Portland too, and we're going to double down. And I told them if they didn't meet our demands for safety and security on the streets and work with us, then we were going to bring in more federal law enforcement. So I want to thank Pete and the Department of War for all their help. They've been fantastic, but while we fight litigation and work with Pam on that, we're going to send more of our resources and men and women out there to keep everybody safe. So no worries. What we see in DC and what we see in Memphis for benefits for people in the safety and security, we'll see that in Chicago and Portland.
The numbers in Memphis, it's only a week, but the numbers have been amazing, I understand.
That's exactly right.
The crime numbers are way down.
Fantastic, and it shows what a partnership can be between local law enforcement and the federal government. And if we have to do it the hard way in Portland and Chicago, we will. But the people demand the safety.
My lawyers are in court right now as we speak for you, arguing in Chicago and Portland to keep them safe, to bring in the guard. The government doesn't want it there, but we do. We're going to keep their citizens safe, thanks to
The
you.
people want it. I don't understand the politics of it. I don't understand why Pritzker is trying to protect people that are really bad
They're
people.
more scared of the anarchists that are on the street and the politics of it than they are of doing the right thing.
I think they're afraid.
Yeah,
I think they're threatened. They don't tell us, but I think Pritzker's threatened by people. There's no other reason that this could be possible, that they don't want to have a safe Chicago. And we can solve the problem very quickly. And we're doing that anyway, regardless of if he doesn't want it or if he does want it, we're doing it anyway. So make sure.
I asked the mayor that himself. He said that Portland was perfectly safe, a beautiful city, no problems. And I said, well, why did you clear the streets for me today then and build out a 4-block radius to make sure I could get in and out of here? And these people on the street screaming death to ICE. There's graffiti that says Molotovs melt ICE. We have the guillotines. We're going to use them. The things
It's
that
almost different. It's like anarchists.
It is. It really
You know,
is.
it's really different than a lot of the others. This is a sick situation, but those are anarchists. Those are people that want to overthrow government. They're really degenerates. And we're finding out who is supplying all of those beautiful signs and everything
Well,
else.
Scott's been fantastic. His team finding the financial networks is great. That's what gives everybody.
Scott will do that. That's easy for Scott. Right?
We got a great team, sir.
Yeah, that's good. How about we go to Marco? You could talk a little bit about what's going on and
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, Mr. President. I don't know if one day perhaps the entire story will be told about the events of yesterday, but suffice it to say, it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved. It really began with your trip to the Middle East, where these relationships were forged with partners in the region, personal relationships, close relationships that created the foundation where all of this was possible. Where I think this really took a turn. Remember, a month ago, no one thought this was possible. Where it really took a turn about a month ago, less than a couple weeks ago, is when we were at the United Nations, and you convened an historic meeting, not simply of Arab countries, but of Muslim-majority countries from around the world, including Indonesia was there, Pakistan was there, and created this coalition behind this plan. Then on that following Monday, you met with the Prime Minister of Israel here, and that plan was presented. And then, of course, our great negotiating team followed up on it. In the interim, again, perhaps the stories will be told, perhaps they will never be told. The President had some extraordinary phone calls and meetings that required a high degree of intensity and commitment, and made this happen. And I think what's important to understand is that yesterday what happened was really a human story. There's a geopolitical aspect to it, there's no doubt about it. It creates the conditions for Gaza to one day be a normal place again and people to have a better life and Israelis to be safe. But yesterday was a human story. And because of the work you put in, and honestly, not only is there no other leader in the world that could have put this together, Mr. President, but frankly, I don't know of any American president in the modern era that could have made this possible because of the actions you have taken unrelated to this and because of who you are and what you've done and how you're viewed. And this weekend, because of that, at some point very soon, we are going to see 20 living human beings emerge from the darkness into the light for the first time in 2 years. And that is because not only were you used the credibility and the power and the prestige of this office and the relationships you created, and you committed yourself to making it happen. And I think it will go down as a historic moment in the history of our country, and something our country should be very proud of, that we have a president that's committed to not just peace, but to the human aspect of reuniting these families. My last point on this is just a couple days ago, Secretary Lutnick hosted us all, many of us, at the Kennedy Center. And we had these families, we've interacted with them for so many years, for 2 years now. And the stories are heartbreaking, both whose families are alive and those who are deceased as well, who want their relatives back so that they can complete the process of grieving. And it was, we had all hoped that perhaps that was the day that we would have an announcement for them on the anniversary of the 7th. But I know you were able to speak to some of those families last night. And I just hope the whole nation understands how incredibly proud they should be of their president and of their country for the role that they've played. And I don't want to let this moment pass, Mr. President, without also noting the incredible work of Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They're an incredible team working together, facing some substantial impediments to even being there this weekend and doing it. Let me just leave it at that. And they've done a great job on your behalf, Mr. President, and they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. But thank you for what you've done for the world.
Thank you very much, Marco. I appreciate it. I think because we have a very busy day with all that's going on, what we'll do is maybe just a few of you raise your hand if you'd like to say something that don't talk too long. But he's doing such a great job. So good that he could talk all day. That's the problem, right? But go ahead. And what we'll do is just take a few hands, and then we'll go back to getting peace done. Okay? We'll go a little bit quicker. We'll take a few questions from the press. Go ahead, please.
President Trump, I just want to double down on what Marco was sharing. It's such a remarkable accomplishment. Agree that no other president could have done this, but what set the groundwork for you able to do that? When you took office on January 20th, you made a 180-degree turn in our military strength with Pete's leadership. You were the master class in peace through strength. So militarily, we've completely turned around. We've demonstrated that through execution against Iran and others. That we have force. We want to end wars, but we'll use power if we have to. And then secondarily, peace through strength is also the prosperity, having the strongest economy and being willing to wield the power of a tariff in addition to the military power to reorder the globe. Those two things that you're standing on, both economic power and military power, allowed these negotiations to go forward. And I think as you've described, the importance of these economic negotiations and all the trade deals, but that also begins with another 180-degree turn, and that was the 180-degree turn on energy. You have used energy diplomacy to bring prosperity to the American people, and you've used it to bring peace abroad. The combination of those three things have been remarkable, and now we're seeing the remarkable result. And we got one more that I know you want to end with Russia and Ukraine. Energy is going to play a key role in that. And now with this historic agreement, we're in a position working with the Middle East to also end the Russian-Ukraine conflict. So again, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Doug. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll go to you for a second. You can just cap out what he said about the military, how well we're doing, and how big it is, and how strong it is.
Mr. President, you're exactly right. At the War Department, you don't get peace without strength. And our job is to be the strength part of the equation and deliver that when necessary, as you demonstrated with your Order of Midnight Hammer, and the entire world saw. And I just want to echo what Marco said. It is a personal honor to be able to witness the way you lead and negotiate. I wish people had a full understanding of what that looks like, that historic nature. A lot of us vets, the Vice President, Tulsi, Lee, Doug, probably after decades of war and the chaos that was unleashed through reckless and foolish American policies, never thought this kind of peace would be possible. Yet, with your strength, with your ability to wield trade negotiations, personal relationships, to open up that opportunity is truly historic on the world stage. And it creates a whole number of other cascading effects. And watching Marco and the Vice President and Steve and Jared, the CIA Director, everybody come together to make it happen. You've formed a phenomenal team, Mr. President. And at the War Department, our job is to make sure if and when there's question about American commitment, the whole world knows we've got the biggest, strongest, most lethal, and most ready War Department in the world, which is true, which is why we saw record recruitment in 2025, Mr. President. The first 2 weeks of 2026 already blows that out. FY 2026 already blows it out of the water. In fact, reenlistment has already met its year-long goal in the Marine Corps in 2026. In 2 weeks. Okay? You can't, there's no other way to create that kind of love and enthusiasm than with your leadership, sir. And it is an honor to work with Pam and with Christy and the cities across the country to make sure American citizens and law enforcement are protected with our National Guard. But that's a core mission. And last thing, Mr. President, on the southwest border, the first group that rotated in to lock down that border to 0 crossings is now rotating out, and with a new border medal, the Southwest Border Medal, or it's actually called the Mexican Border Medal, revived from 1918, that will be pinning on their chest. So thank you for renaming the department, and we're trying to live up to it every day. So thank you, sir.
I mean, think of this. We have record numbers of recruitment. 1 year ago, there were stories, front-page stories, that we couldn't get anybody to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. My beautiful, I call it our beautiful Space Force. I love our Space Force. It's turned out to be very important. But we couldn't get anybody to join. Nobody wanted to join, including our police and fire. They didn't want to join anything. Recruitment was embarrassing. We couldn't get anybody. And now we're brimming. Now it's, and they're getting in based on merit now. A soldier's a soldier. They come in now based on merit, not based on woke stuff that anybody can qualify. You have to qualify for jobs. You have to qualify for certain types of jobs. And it's amazing. So we were embarrassed a year ago. Think of it, a little bit more than a year ago. A year ago, I think it stopped on November 5th. I think it really started, this all started on November 5th, the election day. But now everybody wants to be in. We have an overabundance, and maybe we should raise it a little bit. I don't know.
I like that idea, sir.
But we could raise it. But we have so many people want to join, and they're proud of our country again. JD, could I ask you to say a few words?
Yes, sir. So just a couple of things, Mr. President. First of all, congratulations on yesterday. It was a big day to Marco, to Susie, to the entire team. But in particular, viewing it from this perspective where for months the fake news media attacked you, attacked the entire team, attacked your approach. You know, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing again and again, expecting a different result. The reason we're here is because the president actually charted a different course with a different team. He vested a lot of authority into Steve Witkoff in particular, and that's why we're here. It's because you did something different, and I think it's important to recognize that. I also think the president, you know, Marco mentioned the president's personal touch being a big part of this. You know, the one thing I would say is obviously the president of the United States, a New York real estate billionaire, one of the most famous New Yorkers in the world, has a lot of interaction with a lot of people who are very pro-Israel. I think that was an important set of experiences and life experiences that he brought to the table. He also, of course, knew one of the most famous Palestinians in the world, Chuck Schumer. And I think without that background of knowledge, it would have been impossible to get us to this moment. Second thing I want to say, just on Chuck Schumer, the president mentioned this, that Chuck Schumer said this has been very good for us this morning about the shutdown. One of the things that we talked about before all the media came in, and that all of us are going to work on for the rest of the day, we've been working on for days, is how to make the shutdown as painless as possible on the American people. So while Chuck Schumer brags about this being good, and I think the president is right, it's not good for him politically as much as he might think that it is, it's causing real consequences for the American people. There's a low-income food program, the WIC program, that my mom actually used when I was a baby. That program is about to be underfunded, and it's about to get cut off because Chuck Schumer won't open the government. We have troops. The Secretary of War mentioned how well we're doing on recruitment. We're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer is shutting down the U.S. government. There are veterans benefits that are going to suffer. There are Americans that are going to suffer because Chuck Schumer refuses to do his job. So while we're all celebrating this incredible success that we've had on the world stage, the country could be doing so much better if Chuck Schumer did his job and opened the government. Every single Republican, except for Rand Paul, has voted to open the government. A few moderate Democrats, to their credit, have voted with us to open the government. We just need 5 more Democrats to come to their senses and let the people's government serve the American people. I hope that they'll do that.
Thank you very much. Chris, please.
Yeah, to follow up on that point, Mr. President, the Democrat or Schumer shutdown did not begin 8 or 9 days ago. It began 8 or 9 months ago with your inauguration. For the first time in American history, every Senate confirmed appointee who were our deputies to run our department, every one of them has been filibustered. One of the critical parts of my department is the National Nuclear Security Administration. It maintains, manufactures our nuclear weapons and our engines for nuclear submarines and nuclear aircraft carriers. We are a key supplier to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. They filibustered, the Democrats filibustered the leader, the administrator of the National Nuclear Security Administration, would not let him come into my department until the Republicans 2 weeks ago changed the Senate rules so they could confirm him and we could have a leader. They filibustered the leadership, now they're filibustering the funding. In the next 6-7 days, we're gonna run out of funding, and the retooling of our nuclear stockpile, the ultimate guarantor of our sovereignty, is gonna be underfunded, and we're gonna have to slow down and creep to a crawl these efforts. Just incredibly irresponsible for Schumer to worry about his own reelection and not the 340 million Americans that count on the efforts of our military and all of our departments. It's truly offensive, and we need to bring it to an end as soon as possible. Let's open the government back up.
And you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Bobby, did you want to say something? You got a lot of things happening.
A lot of things.
A lot of very positive things, actually.
Mr. President, I'm glad you're getting bipartisan accolades on the Mideast Peace Agreement. You should also get bipartisan accolades on the MFN agreement. It is a historic agreement that's going to benefit every hardworking American. It's going to lower the price of drugs for every American. By the time this administration is over, we will have 95% of the drugs in this country will be the lowest price in the world. It immediately begins to affect Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, the other government programs. I remember when I went through the confirmation process, and the principal preoccupation of the Democrats during that process was whether I would continue the IRA negotiations on drugs. The Democrats negotiated 10 drugs. I'm supposed to negotiate every year 15. The 10 that they negotiated, they claimed to get a 22% reduction, but it was a lie. It was 22% under the list price, which was actually higher than the price we were getting. So Medicaid, Medicare ended up paying more for those drugs than they were paying beforehand. They only got a benefit on one drug. One was tied. 8 of them were lower. So they should be applauding what we're doing now. We're doing something that every administration, Democrat and Republican, has been saying that it was going to do for decades, and you got it done because you understood the power of the tariffs, that we had leverage over these companies. And you did it in a way which you asked us to do, to negotiate in a way that was not going to stifle innovation, that was going to make sure that those companies could bring their production home, and they are doing that. And it was a profound success. It will affect every American for 100 years. And you should be getting bipartisan accolades on that. I'll say one other thing about Tylenol, only because of this. This morning before I came in here, somebody showed me a TikTok video of a pregnant woman, 8 months pregnant. She is an associate professor at the Columbia Medical School. And she is saying F Trump and gobbling Tylenol with her baby in her placenta. And the level of Trump derangement syndrome has now left political landscapes, and it is now in the realm of pathology. And a mother could overwhelm millions of years of maternal instinct to put her baby at risk. And all you have to do is look at the studies which you and I talked about. It's not dispositive that cause autism, but it is so suggestive that anybody who takes this stuff during pregnancy, unless they have to, is irresponsible. There are 15 rodent studies. Every one of them shows if you give it to the mother, the babies, and particularly the male babies, have profound neurological and behavioral changes. There is a study from Johns Hopkins on cord blood where they divided women into 3 categories: those who had the least acetaminophen in their cord blood, and those who had the most. The ones with the most had 3.6 times the rate of autism in their children. The middle category had 2.2 times, so it's a dose-related response. And there are dozens of studies that show the countries that use the most have the highest level of autism. Cuba has the lowest level in the world of acetaminophen use, and it has the lowest autism rate in the world. So this is not dispositive. It is not proof. We're doing the studies to make the proof. But in the meantime, the precautionary principle should apply, and any mother who is taking this stuff during pregnancy just to get back at Donald Trump is doing something that is pathological. And we're seeing that across the board. I got a lot of other stuff to talk about, but I know we got a short time here. But thank you, Mr. President. You're making our country healthier again.
Thank you, Bobby. Could you just, for the record, state what the autism was, let's say, 20 years ago and what it is today?
In 1970, the largest epidemiological study in history was performed. 900,000 kids were looked at. They were looking for autism in Wisconsin children. They looked at every child in Wisconsin who was 8 years old. They found an autism rate of 0.7 per 10,000. So almost close to 1 in 20,000, less than 1 in 10,000. Today, the autism rates are nationally 1 in 31, but it's actually much worse than that because California, which has the best collection system, reports an autism rate of 1 in every 19 children, 1 in every 12.5 boys. This is a national security issue. There is nothing more important, and I'm grateful to you, Mr. President, because you know the flack that you take for even talking about this issue. You've shown courage and you've shown leadership, and I can't thank you enough for letting me do this work.
Thank you. So think of that, 1 in 20,000, and now it's 1 in 12 for boys, 1 in 18, 19 for girls. So obviously there's something that's artificially, I think, induced, something, whether it's the vaccines in terms of these massive vaccines that are twice the size of a jar like that, of a glass of water like that, I mean, into a baby's body. And I've suggested get them in doses, get them in, maybe 20%, 30%, but smaller, not such a big. I think, that. Then we had certain recommendations, the MMR, take them separately. The measles is already separate now, and it works out much better, but there doesn't seem to be any impact if you take it separately. If you take it as a combination, it's not so great. And some other things, but I would say don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, and when the baby is born, don't give it Tylenol. If you can avoid it at all, just don't give it Tylenol. Really, what do you have to lose? You really don't have much to lose. Yeah,
There's also there's many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that show children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. It's highly likely because they're given Tylenol. So, none of this is dispositive, but all of it is stuff that we should be paying attention to.
But, there's a tremendous amount of proof or evidence, I would say, as a non-doctor, but I've studied this a long time ago. I met Bobby in my office 20 years ago. We were talking about the same thing 20 years ago. And I was a real estate developer. It bothered me that it seemed to be getting worse, but it's so bad now when you hear these numbers. It's not even really sustainable. I don't know how people do it, but there is some very strong evidence on Tylenol. In fact, at one point, I guess the company gave a warning.
They still don't recommend it during pregnancy. That's the weird thing.
They're not recommending it, and that's the company itself. So just don't take it. Don't take it. If you're a woman, don't take it, and don't give it to the baby when the baby's born, and I think that's going to have an impact. But I'd also get the shots in smaller doses. There are a few things, we gave a few things that just seem to be, and I think you'd get that number way back up. Think of it. You have 1 in 20,000, and now it's not even believable when you think the 20,000 drops to 12
12 children. So that's induced by something that's given or taken, and it should be able to be stopped. And you're talking about the Pennsylvania Dutch, you were talking about the Amish, where they don't take any of this stuff, and they have virtually none, right? They have no autism, no autism. So we're doing something very bad. Somebody's been given some bad things. Other countries, by the way, we have, I think, we have 82 vaccines that we give simultaneously. And I'm a vaccine believer, by the way. I believe in the polio vaccine. I believe in a lot of vaccines. But when you give 82 vaccines in a shot to a little baby that hasn't even formed yet, it's a lot of vaccines. And in Japan, they give a much smaller number. In Germany, they give a much smaller, like 28 vaccines. That's a lot too. But 28's a lot different than 82. So, but I would say on the Tylenol, don't take it, and that will be. I think it's going to be a big factor. I think it'll be a very good result, and I hope we're going to be able to see that result in the not too distant future. Because certainly, people have heard us loud and clear. That's why I bring it up again. That's why I asked you to talk about it, because this is a horrible thing, and if you don't take it, I mean, you have to tough it through sometimes. There are other things you can do, but you have to tough it out. It's easy for me to say, but I think you're going to see numbers that will be it'll be so significantly improved, and maybe fully improved. I mean, there's something there, there's something going on, and we have to address it. And so I'm addressing it the best I can as a non-doctor, but I'm a man of common sense. Okay, any other questions?
I'd like to comment on
Yeah,
the first
please.
one. Mr. President, a lot of people are calling to give you the Nobel Peace Prize after this peace deal that you managed to achieve in the Middle East. First of all, your opinion on that, and I was wondering about your trip to the Middle East, if you can tell us if you're considering to speak at the Knesset, at the Israeli parliament.
Well, they asked me to speak at the Knesset, and I've agreed to. If they would like me to, I will do it. It's the first time a president has ever done that, so that makes it very interesting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I will do it if they want me to. They have asked me to do that. Thank you.
Families of hostages are out in the streets in Israel dancing and crying tears
They're
of
all
joy.
dancing in the streets right now. They're dancing in the streets. They're so happy. Everybody's happy. They're dancing in the streets of Arab countries, Muslim countries. I've never seen anything like it. Everybody is happy. It's been really amazing. Thank you.
President Trump, on the international peacekeeping force that's going to deploy to Gaza soon, do you expect that Pakistan, Turkey, other countries to contribute forces? Has that become firmed up? And also, on the shutdown, it seems like in the House there's a majority support for a temporary extension of the Obamacare subsidies, perhaps minus the funds for illegal immigrants. Is that how you see the deal to end the shutdown happening?
Well, I see the deal just getting extended as we continue to talk, but we're willing to pay because we're paying. It's very simple. We're paying. And the Democrats are the ones that caused this problem, and it's a big problem for them. And they have a lot of break in their ranks. But so I see that, I think that'll get worked out. But we want to get back before we do this. We don't want to have a gun held to our head. We don't like that, and the public doesn't like it either. So we want to get back, and I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out very well. It's something that shouldn't have happened. This was supposed to take place before the election. This was supposed to take place on September 28th before the election. We shouldn't even be talking about this right now. This is actually something that shouldn't have even happened. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, looking ahead, what guarantees Hamas disarms and that Israel doesn't resume bombing once the hostages
Well, the
are
first thing we're
released?
doing is getting our hostages back, okay? And that's what people wanted more than anything else. They wanted these hostages back that have lived in hell like nobody has ever even dreamt possible. And after that, we'll see. But they've agreed to things, and I think it's going to move along pretty well.
But what is phase two? When
Well,
does
I'm
it
not
begin?
going to talk about that because you sort of know what phase two is, but there will be disarming, there will be pullbacks, there will be a lot of things that are happening. I gave you a whole list of 22 different things that will take place. And I think it'll take place, and I think you're going to end up with peace in the Middle East. But we have to get our hostages back. And we weren't going to do it at the end. We're going to do it at the beginning. We said we want them at the beginning. We're not doing it. We got the hostages back. We did, as a group with Steve and Jared and Marco and me and all of us, we got the hostages back. We got many of them back. Many, unfortunately, were dead, but we got many back that are now living with their families, with their parents in many cases, and with their husbands, families, wives. Many of them, they celebrate all over. They're the ones that are celebrating the loudest. They're all over. There are a lot of them that we got out. But the last 20, and I always said the last ones are going to be the most difficult, but it's been a very big deal getting the hostages out, but the rest is going to take place too.
And can you promise Palestinians they will be able to stay?
Well, they know exactly what we're doing. We're going to create something where people can live. You can't live right now in Gaza. The place is it's a horrible situation. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So yeah, we're going to create better conditions for people. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, excuse me, what kind of security guarantees is the United States going to make for Gaza?
Well, we're going to work with very wealthy countries that love people, frankly. I know them very well. They love people, but they love Arab people, and they love Muslims, and they love, I think right now they love everybody, and they're immensely wealthy, and they're going to be involved in putting up money, and for them it's a small amount of money. For somebody else it's a large amount of money, but these are the wealthiest countries in the world, and they'll be very much involved in making it as good as possible.
And what's your take now on a two-state solution, sir? Just to follow up on that.
On what?
What is your view now on a two-state solution today?
I don't have a view. I'm going to go with what they agreed to.
Mr. President, given that there are some tough provisions for Israel in this agreement, are you at all concerned that Bibi Netanyahu may not continue in his post and be deposed?
That Bibi may go a little bit out of whack.
But he may no longer be Prime Minister.
Look, that's politics. It could be. I don't know. I think he's very popular right now. He's much more popular today than he was 5 days ago, I can tell you. Right now, I think maybe people shouldn't run against him. 5 days ago, it might not have been a bad idea. No, Bibi's this has been a very good thing. I don't think he did it for that reason, okay? But I think just looking as an analyst would look at this, I think Bibi should be very popular right now. Yeah, please.
What will happen if Hamas says that it cannot locate or was not able to find all of the deceased hostages' bodies within the time?
Well, we'll have to see. I think that's going to be, it's largely been answered. We know where most of them are. Actually, the bodies are a bigger problem because some of the bodies are going to be a little bit hard to find. It's a terrible thing to discuss even, but you understand, we're all people, we're grown-ups, we understand life. Nobody can understand this stuff because this could have taken place, but we have the hostages for the most part, and so I don't think it's going to be overly big. The situation with the bodies, they say 28. Some are going to be a little bit hard to find, but we're going to do the best we can. Yeah, please, behind you. Yeah, behind you. Please.
Thank you, sir. Regarding Jared Kushner's role in the negotiations, can you explain a little bit about why he came on at the last minute? And then in regards to the WIC program that the Vice President mentioned, do you know when the funding that you promised through the tariff revenue will actually go through to communities? Because there's reports that WIC providers are actually saying it goes down today.
Well, okay, let me just answer the Jared. So Jared's a very smart guy. He did the Abraham Accords. As some people say, the Abraham Accords, which I love the way that sounds, but he did the Abraham Accords. It was a great thing. 4 big countries joined. If I were president, if the election would have been a correct election, which it wasn't, you'd have every country in there. Maybe even Iran would have been in there, frankly. But you'd have every country in. Now, by the way, that's going to be filled up rather quickly. People want to join the Abraham Accords. And I put Jared there because he's a very smart person, and he knows the region, knows the people, knows a lot of the players. And the combination of him and Steve Witkoff and Marco and Cooper, who is, as I hear, has been fantastic, and others that were involved. JD was very much involved. I mean, we had a very smart group of people working. We had a lot of different players, different countries, and very diverse countries, very different from each other. They had certain things in common, but they had a lot of things, mostly things that were not at all common to their countries. So we had a very smart group of people. These are high IQ people. Okay, you know, I talk about how many low IQ people we have in our government. We got some real low ones, but some shockingly low. But these are very high IQ people, and that's what we want. I like high IQ people. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you. Can I ask you about the China? You're meeting with President Xi. The Chinese have now set to put in new export controls on rare earth minerals, and they've stopped buying soybeans from the U.S. What do you hope to get out of that meeting now with President Xi?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I just heard this a little while ago before we came in, so I haven't been briefed on it. The export. I mean, look, we have the ultimate export. We have import, and we have export. We import from China massive amounts, and you know, maybe we'll have to stop doing that. But I don't know exactly what it is. Neither do you. Neither does anybody. It's a little bit soon. I just heard about it. So Scott and Howard will figure that out, and I'm sure we'll be able to handle it.
Could I ask you about the soybeans? What is the plan to help farmers? Is it direct checks? Is it tax? Have you sorted that out yet?
Well, what happens with soybeans is we're going to see more and more, I think, opening up. And part of the reason that we'll be he's got things that he wants to discuss with me, and I have things that I want to discuss with him. And one of the things is soybeans. I had a great deal with China where they would buy $50 billion worth of our farm product and manufacturing and other things, but farm product. And it was going along well. Then when the election turned out to be a rigged election and we had the wrong guy get in there, he didn't do anything about it. I used to call up President Xi every 2 weeks, or I'd call up people in China, say, you got to keep going, you're not buying the amount that you agreed to. And this went on for, you know, ever since we signed the agreement. It was a great agreement. So they used to do 15 billion, and I got it up to 50 billion, 50, and it was great. Then when Biden got in, they just never adhered to the agreement, and nobody in Biden's group, as you can imagine, did anything about it. So it just sat there for 4 years, and they didn't adhere to the agreement. And we, you know, it's hard to go back after 4 years of nobody calling them, but I used to call them every 2 weeks. I'd say, you know, you're a little low, or I appreciate it. Oftentimes I'd say, thank you very much. You are totally adhering to the agreement. But we had an agreement, they would buy $50 billion worth of our product, mostly farm product. And the farm, remember I said to the farmers, buy larger tractors and more land. And that's exactly what happened. They did well. But we do suffer. I'd like you to discuss that maybe for a second, Brooke. Sure. Very quickly, by the way.
Yes, sir.
But would you just talk about how Biden let us down? Biden, every single thing, every problem the farmer has is because Biden didn't do anything for 4 years. Go ahead.
No, I think that's right. This president has been unequivocal in his support of the farmers. First of all, in term one, we worked on it so hard and opened up markets, but especially this term. But here's what everyone has to understand. The farm economy is in a very uncertain time. But that isn't because of the current trade negotiations, although certainly the China part is part of that. But we inherited a slew of issues. First of all, as the president said, when we left Trump 1, we had an agriculture trade surplus. When we came back for Trump 2, it was a $50 billion ag deficit. That isn't everything, that's just agriculture. The second part is the cost of inputs for our farmers increased on average between 30 and 38%, but that includes fertilizer, it includes fuel, it includes interest rates, it includes labor. All of this came about under Joe Biden, a 47% increase in the cost of labor that now Secretary Chavez-DeRimmer and Noam and I are working on. Fuel is coming down, thank you. Interest rates, thankfully, are coming down. A 73% increase in interest rates for our farmers. They couldn't get loans to make sure that they could move forward. So that's all really, really important. And I think we have to realize what the president's commitment is this, that we're moving into an era of rural prosperity, of a golden age for our farmers in rural America. The trade renegotiations and the trade realignment that Jameson and Scott and Howard have led with the president's leadership is unlike anything that's happened in the history of our country. And those that will benefit the most are the original Americans, our farmers and our ranchers. The president has committed, if we need a bridge, he has talked about that to get us from the Biden years to the new Trump era. That's what we're working on every day. We've got to get the government reopened so that we we can move forward on that. And once we do, we'll be able to move out a significant program to help our farmers. Long term, we have to change this hamster wheel of government. We've got to ensure that the farmers have the market to sell, and it's a national security issue and onshoring a lot of the food as well. So, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I think that's enough.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press. Let's go. Thank you.
The country is doing very well. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.
Yo, what's up, guys? What's going on? Okay. Rowdy and fun and wild and just a classic. Just a classic Trump. Yeah, there you go. All right. Thank you to the team. Thank you to the crew. Thank you to everyone. We were, making sure that we were locked in on a number of fronts. It's going to be a wild and exciting day tomorrow. Get ready. We will be doing the show in the morning, and then we'll be heading to New Jersey, and we're running down the logistics on all of it. But the logistics for the verse of the day, of course, will always be here. We'll always make sure we hop back in our verse of the day. It was just a quick run to plug in my earpiece there from Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Yes, the Lord will fight for you. Being still means being at peace, and being at peace in this time means understanding that the all-powerful God of the universe, who created everything, is on our side. And we serve that king and that kingdom, and he will protect us. God is the author of life and death, the creator of the universe. The same power that conquered all death resides within us. And let that carry you through, ladies and gentlemen, today. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Pam, go ahead, please.
Well, they're smart, but they're not smart enough. My microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments.
Sir, the only McDonald's ice cream machine has been repaired and is fully functional, and it is located in Gaza.
Okay. The Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me.
Welcome to my borrowed tree. My borrowed tree. So much democracy when you employer me. You want to win your next election. I can help you win your erection. So much democracy. Put your ballot in. I take your ballot out. I change them to your name. That's what democracy all about. TV screen, stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny shows a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salt in all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.